Choose life. Choose a job. Choose a career. Choose a family. Choose a fucking big television. Choose washing machines, cars, compact disc players, and electrical cinema units. Choose a podcast. Choose the Untitled Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Untitled Film Podcast even. Oh my god, can't even get my words out. That's a good start to the podcast, isn't it?
Wait, what days, Mike?
It's well, I've been at work all day, mate, so it's one of those things. So yeah, I am your host, Mike, and with me as always is my reliable co-host, Mr. Peak. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, Mike. Yeah, I'm good to go on this Shaun the Dead episode.
Yeah, well, Shaun of the Dead, so start of the Cornetto trilogy. But before we get into chatting about that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping, because we've been a little bit tardy with our schedule recently. So I know the last podcast came out late, and I've just dropped a Iron Man commentary just because I felt like, I needed to get another podcast out there just for people to listen to something, even though it was... I did get quite involved and just start watching the film and stuff like that, so it's probably not my finest hour when it comes to the commentaries. But yeah, a bit of housekeeping. So obviously what we normally do is just go through what we've seen since...
Yeah, what we've been up to,
chat, so what we've been up to. You've been quite a busy boy, haven't you?
Yeah. We last weekend we took the little girl up to Harry Potter World. So like Watford, based in Watford, the studios there. So yeah, we drove up and stayed over for the weekend, and we drove up on the Saturday morning and stayed over Saturday night, and then we went to the studios on the Sunday morning, and then we travelled back on Sunday evening, which was pretty good because we was only booked in to see Harry Potter World at 11:30, but because we was up early, the little girl was buzzing, she wanted to go up like from 8 o'clock in the morning. So we said, come on, we'll drive down, see if they'll let us in early. So we spoke to the girl at the box office kind of thing, and she said, yeah, there's space. I don't see there being a problem. She'll be able to let you in early. So anyway, she let us in, went doors open, so we was in and out. Basically, we was on our way back by the time we would have been still walking around, seeing everything in there. I think it was on our way back at like say 4 o'clock or something, where we probably would have been travelling back about 8, 9 o'clock at night. So yeah, but overall, yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought it was, but it was superb. Really, my little girl loved it. She loved it. She dressed up as she had the uniform on, thinking it was a Hermione Granger, walking around with a wand as well. And it's been.
I obviously, I've not made any secrets about the fact that I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan. But I have heard a lot of people going on about Harry Potter World, and they all seem really keen about it. So, but I don't really know anything about it. So, is it kind of like just like a? Well, I don't know. Is it like an exhibition, like a museum where you can just walk around and like see different sets and stuff like that?
Different sets and all the props, what they use in the films, and some areas we walk into, and it'll show like the animatronics, like the heads and the goblins' heads and other creatures, and you'll have a TV on the wall, and it have Warwick Davis telling you, we use this, and you know what I mean, and for this part of the film, and I were wearing this, and you can view it, and you can just walk around and look at stuff, and it's really good. Like I say, like you just said, it's a little museum. All the props, all the set pieces, all the everything they wore as well.
Like the costumes.
While filming, the costumes and stuff like that were all behind cabinets, like glass cabinets and stuff, and you can just see them in there. It's
so is there anything like interactive about it? Is there any kind of like things where you can actually do stuff, or is it all just going around and looking at stuff kind of like behind glass? And
well, there's areas where you can go on the broomstick, have a ride on a broomstick, so you got a green screen behind you.
All right.
So
okay.
you're flying on it there, and there's a woman in front of you or a guy, and they say put your hands out, and on the TV, because you're in the green screen on the TV, what we could see. I could see my little girl, like she was flying through London, going over like all the water and stuff like that.
Yeah. Does the broomstick move like when you sat on it on the saddle, or is it all just like the green screen moving around?
Just the green, it's just the green screen flying around. Right. And there's a part as well with the dark forest as well. think it's called the Dark Forest, the woods anyway, where the spiders are in the second film. You walk
Yeah.
through there, and the spiders were coming down from the ceiling. That was really good as well, and it's got lightning in there and they're creepy as well. My little girl jumped him out at first, and then we went back in later on. She wanted to go back in, but she got a bit upset actually the first time, and then we said, "Come on, we'll go back in." And she was big and brave, and she went back in. So look, they're not real. You know what I mean? They're just fake, and they'll just come down and just make noises and stuff. And but because she had a wand as well, and you pressed a little button on the wand, it flashed up at the end of the tip of the wand. So she was kind of like pretending to cast spells to get rid of the spiders. But yeah, but then she went in, I think, overall about 4 times. But the first time she was scared, and then the last 3 times she was like, "I want to go in again" and stuff, because she knew it was fine and stuff. So she enjoyed it. You go into his house as well, into Harry's house on Pivot Drive there. Walk into his house, and it shows in the living room the letters what have they were flying around, but obviously they're all just fixed in one position in the living room.
Right.
You can go on the night bus as well, which I think was in the 3rd film. So that was good. Trying to think where else we did.
Is there any rides or anything like that there?
No, there's no rides. I felt like it needed a ride.
Right.
That's at the end. I think the one in America's got a ride you can go on, but that one in London, I just thought to myself, well, I just missed a ride at the end where you could go on, and I don't know, just maybe
I would have thought
like
the night bus would have been a perfect thing to be like an
interactive
ride, wouldn't it? It would have
been. Yeah, or even something like the Ratatouille at Disneyland in Paris, where you sit on the cart and it takes you around. You got the screen in front of you and it whizzes around. Something like that, maybe.
Right.
But sadly, nothing of that. I did try the butterbeer as well. That was really nice. Some people have said, "Oh, have you tried the butterbeer? We didn't like it." I tried it and I thought it was really nice. I could have easily gone back for another pint of it.
What's it like?
I thought it was pretty sweet, to be honest with you, but it had one frothy head on it anyway, I know that.
So overall, it was a good experience, because I've heard things like, it is really good, but it's really expensive for what it is, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it worked out about 40 quid per person. And my little girl was free because she was 4. She was 4, but now she's turned 5. This week just gone.
So you timed that just nicely.
We timed it just right to get her in. That was the thing, because we said, "Oh, your birthday's coming up. Do you want a birthday party, or do you want to take you Harry Potter World?" And she went, "I want to go to Harry Potter World." Anyway, when we came back,
I don't think she'd pass that one up. She'd be like,
"Yeah." But when we came back from Harry Potter World, she was saying, "No, I got one over my party." I was like, "No, you're not having a party. Because we took Harry Potter World. You can't have everything. You know what I mean? Which one do you think we got?"
Yeah.
But there was another thing as well. What's opened as well, Harry Potter World. The Gringotts Bank as well was just opened. I think it's going to be open about a month, maybe 2 months maximum. So in the first film, where Harry and Hagrid walk through the bank there, and you got the goblins either side, and go and see the main goblin at the desk. Yeah. It's exactly the same as that there. So that was really nice. It was all set out and chandeliers.
So are the goblins all like animatronics, or have they got actually people dressed up as the goblins?
No, they just sat there fixed position, the goblins, but they look really good. I think there's 5 goblins in the bank itself, and then you walk around to the corner to the next room, and it's all Gringotts Bank was destroyed. I think it was like the last film, and the dragon was there and on a big TV screen, and it come walking towards you. You could hear it in the background, and it come walking towards you. It blew a lot of fire towards you, and then a lot of smoke came up in your face. It was really good. The little girl she thought it was real again at the first, but that was like right at the end. So that was a nice added bonus. Yeah. So overall, thumbs up. Definitely thumbs up. If you're a Harry Potter fan, go and check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So okay. Do you want to say what you've been watching, Mike, and then?
Yeah, well, let's go through what we've been watching. So, I've kept it quite light since the last time that we recorded. The only thing that I off the top of my head anyway, the only thing that I can recall actually going watching at the cinema since like John Wick Chapter 3 the other week was Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So
any good?
It depends on how you feel about Godzilla. I mean, are you a fan of the franchise?
Is this a sequel to the Godzilla that came out a few years back?
Yeah, the 2014 one directed by Gareth Edwards. Yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about Godzilla. I don't know a ton. I remember when I was a kid, I would catch a Godzilla film if it was on TV or something like that, but it was never something that I kind of like went out of my way to actually watch all of because they were a little bit ridiculous. I mean, and obviously you've got the original film, which was Gojira, and then it was released in America with added bits with Raymond Burr, the added bits in with him kind of commentating on, because it was the whole thing about like the first Godzilla film is it was like a serious kind of film, obviously made by the Japanese after they'd been bombed by the Americans. They dropped the nuclear bomb down, and it was a commentary on, because obviously Godzilla was in the original film, he was like a metaphor for radiation, and because he was radioactive and he had the atomic breath and all this kind of stuff. So it was kind of like a social commentary on what happened during the bombing of Japan, and then it just kind of changed over the years and became increasingly more kind of outlandish and ridiculous, and men in rubber suits running around miniature buildings and smashing them up and up. So that's what I obviously knew about Godzilla when I was kind of like growing up as a kid. And you had the cartoon and
the old Godzilla films always remind me a bit of like the Power Rangers. People in suits walking around, in the city kind of thing. But then you had that Matthew Broderick one, didn't you? What came out in the late 90s, 98 was it something?
Yeah, I never liked that film. Even when it came out. And I know some people said they kind of enjoyed it when it came out, and then they go back and rewatch it and they're like, oh, well, what was I thinking? But I never liked it from day one.
I'm pretty much the same. I've seen it a good few times, that film, over the years, but I've not watched it for a bit anyway recently, but I don't intend to, actually. I think I'm done with that film.
Yeah, if I never see it again, then I'll never, I'm not going to lose sleep over that, because it just, I mean, for as little as I know about Godzilla, that was not a Godzilla film. It didn't feel like a Godzilla film. The creature itself didn't look like Godzilla.
It was too Americanized, I thought, as well.
Yeah, the whole thing about Godzilla is like our weapons couldn't kill him, and that at the end of that film, spoilers if you haven't seen the Matthew Broderick version of Godzilla, but they pepper him with a few missiles, and then lo and behold, Godzilla dies at the end of it.
Yeah, is that when he gets trapped in the bridge or something?
Yeah, he gets trapped in kind of like the suspension bridge, like in the wires of that, and then they've got all these F-16s or whatever they are, planes, jets, fighter jets, just
peppering him in the air with
and then he just dies. You hear like these heartbeats slow down, and then Matthew Broderick walks up to him and looks him in the eye, and then you see his eye dilate and just roll over and close, and you're like, they just fucking killed Godzilla. But it wasn't really good. I remember the toys that they were kind of dishing out at, I think it was KFC. There was like just the Godzilla head.
I don't remember them.
And it was like a puppet. It was like a sock puppet. It was made of rubber, but it was like a sock puppet type thing. You'd stick your hand in it, and you could, open his mouth and stuff like that. And I think it made a noise when you pressed it, but it didn't last very long. The battery ran out after like a week or something like that. But,
surprise. Didn't it end on a bit of a cliffhanger for a sequel with the eggs? They left some eggs in the stadium.
Yeah, they went all fucking Jurassic Park, didn't they? Because like Godzilla laid a load of eggs, and then you've got all of these tiny little Godzillas running around. Was it Madison Square Garden?
Yeah,
in a really bad rip-off of like the Velociraptor scene from Jurassic Park, and the CG was absolutely woeful. And then like I think the last shot was just like of an unhatched egg, which just kind of like begun to hatch, and the last shot was the baby Godzilla coming out and I think biting at the camera going into its mouth, and then it was cut to black, and I was just like, oh, fuck this film.
Wasn't the guy in that from as well? The guy in that one, and the main guys as well, the French chap who was in, is it Leon?
Yeah, Jean Reno.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I had half a decent cast in that film. Yeah, Matthew Broderick, who was. Yeah, he was miscast in that. He wasn't very good. I mean, obviously Ferris Bueller and other things. Inspector Gadget. No, let's just move on from.
Oh yeah, move on from that. Yeah.
But it had like Harry Shearer in it. It had Hank Azaria in it. Guys who were from The Simpsons.
Mm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
and Jean Reno was in it, obviously, and you know, half decent cast, but just completely wasted, and everything that Wolfie. Sorry, my
Oh,
dog's just doing something he shouldn't be doing while I'm recording a
it's
podcast.
Wolfie making his appearance again.
Yeah.
He's come back in this town, which is good.
No, he's just been a very naughty boy. Yeah, anyway, so fuck that film. Yeah, so Godzilla King of the Monsters is a sequel to the 2014 Gareth Edwards Godzilla. I liked it, the 2014 film.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of seemed to divide the audience, you either liked it or you didn't like it.
Yeah.
The all the people parts was just kind of like a little bit boring. And I know a few people got frustrated with that film because every time, like when they were introducing Godzilla in the like earlier parts of the film, they would always, as like something was about to happen action-wise or a fight or whatever it was, it would cut away, so you never really saw it until the end, and that's when you saw Godzilla kind of like fighting the Mutos at the end of the film. So they saved like the big massive reveal for the end of the film. I thought that was quite clever because it built the anticipation
Yeah.
of seeing Godzilla up until that point, and it really worked. I remember I watched it with the girlfriend at the time, and she was
Mhm.
not a Godzilla fan, but I somehow managed to persuade
Enjoyed
her to
it.
come along. Yeah, and the scene where um, at the end of the film where Godzilla's fighting the Mutos, and you know he's had his ass whooped basically, but then all of a sudden he starts powering up. And have you seen the film?
I don't think I have. No, I can't
Right.
recall.
Okay. Well,
But
slight
does it matter?
spoilers here.
It don't matter.
It's
Spoil it.
Yeah, it's a Godzilla film, so you know what's going to happen in the end. He's going to win.
Yeah.
But there's he starts powering himself up, and like the scales that he has on his back, they
Oh
start.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can't really see him because he's kind of obscured by. It's at night time, and there's a bit of mist and fog and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, just through the mist and the fog, you see like blue lights, kind of like lighting up along his back ridge, all of his spines, and then
Right.
there's like this really low rumble which kind of builds up, and it just the camera follows like these blue lights on his scales kind of lighting up all the way up to his head, and then you see him and he just blows out all this atomic fire into the face of the Mutos and rips its head off, and then blows atomic fire down its neck and all this kind of stuff. And I remember getting goosebumps at that moment. There was just something really kind of like very visceral. It was just kind of like, oh my god, that I hadn't like. It was one of
Yeah,
those
expect
moments
it.
where I was like, absolutely not. Because,
Yeah.
like I say, I'm not a massive fan of Godzilla, but it was just kind of like, holy shit! It was one of those moments where just that was, one of those moments of cinema where it just gives you a reaction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I enjoyed that film. This sequel to it, I know I'm really going around the houses with this. But this sequel to it turns everything up to 11, but not in a good way.
Oh
Um,
right.
yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, so we've kind of heard your criticisms of the first film. You said there wasn't enough action in it, so we're going to give you a load of action all over
But
your
no,
face, neck, and
but
chest.
what? Not much story. Not much plot.
there, there's just enough plot there to move the story from one, monster fight to the next monster fight. The
Oh, so it's actually a few
humans,
monsters in this one, is it?
yeah. So he's
Yeah, I've
fighting
seen the poster. It's that big that snake thing. I think I've seen the poster
yeah,
of.
the three-headed Ghidorah is the
Yeah.
main thing, but it throws Rodan in there, it throws Mothra in there, and it throws in a couple of other creatures in there that no one really gives a shit about. Um, it throws everything at the camera. Lots of noise, lots of CGI spectacle, lots of bang crash wallop, all that kind of stuff. However, it misses something that the first film did very well with the sense of scale and size.
Right.
Because like in the Gareth Edwards film, and he did it very well in Rogue One as well with the AT-ATs on the beach.
Mhm.
He shot them in such a way that those things had real weight and heft and like scale to them. They felt massive in the frame, the way that he shot them, and
Yeah.
Godzilla felt massive, um, you know, the way he shot him in that film as well. He knows how to compose the shot with something really, really big in there and lend a real sense of like this thing is massive.
Yeah.
He didn't have him moving too quickly or anything like, because if the bigger something is, the slower it's going to move. So there was a sense of realism about how Godzilla moved in that film. In this film, everything just moves much quicker. It's like Pacific Rim 1 versus Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
It's just like they got the whole sense of scale wrong. But that said, there is, again, something kind of like primeval about when Godzilla powers up in this sequel film. I had almost the same kind of reaction. I was like, this is what I'm here to see, kind of thing. There is something to be said about watching, Godzilla have his power up moment and just getting the better of.
Is it the same kind of power up moment as the first film?
No,
or they've tweaked it a little bit.
They've tweaked it, but the thing is, they've kind of taken cues from like all of the previous Toho Godzilla films. So,
oh right,
yeah, they've thrown everything into a melting pot, and they're just trying to see what kind of sticks with this one.
Yeah.
The human characters are just fucking dumb. The story, again, really kind of like dumb. It just does just enough to keep the film moving on. Charles Dance is in there.
All right. No, I like him as an actor.
Yeah, so do I. I don't. If you were to ask him what happens in this film, I don't think he'd be able to tell you because he looks bored. He looks bored. He looks like he's just turned up there for a big paycheck. Yeah. But I didn't even stay. Apparently, there's an end credits stinger with him in it.
What's that? Setting up with the next film.
Setting up for Kong versus Godzilla, but he's obviously going to play a part in that.
So is it the Kong from the Skull Island?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which is what they're building toward. But the stinger with Charles Dance, I didn't stay for that, but apparently, he's going to factor into that one. But
all right.
I don't know. It's just.
Would you skip it? Is it a skip it film, King of the Monsters?
It's definitely
Or is it a popcorn film?
It's not even that. I'd rent it. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't. I've seen it once. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you don't have to pay for it, I wouldn't really pay for it. It's not worth it. Yeah. That said, like I said, I did enjoy like when Godzilla has his kind of like big moment, but other than that, it was lots of flashing and banging and crashing and yeah. Other than that, the only other things that I've watched recently are TV shows. So I binged watched Chernobyl. I did all 5 episodes on Thursday night, I think it was.
Is it Netflix?
It was HBO.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, HBO Sky. So I binged all 5 episodes of that because I'd heard very good things about it, but I didn't want to. I thought I'll just rattle through it instead of because I'd already. By the time I started hearing good things about it, it was always already on like episode 3 or something like that. So I thought.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just.
So overall, thumbs up on that one, is it, Chernobyl?
Really good, mate. It is really good. Just because of like the authenticity of it, or at least because I've been listening to the podcast that goes along with it as well. HBO tend to do those kind of things. They did it for Westworld and obviously Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So and on the podcast for Chernobyl, it's actually the guy who wrote the series. He's on the podcast and he's explaining why he made certain decisions story wise, and just going through kind of like how they managed to do certain things and what was real and what was what was dramatized and all this kind of stuff. It's just absolutely horrific story wise, like what these people went through. Really harrowing scenes in the film, but expertly acted, feels authentic, even though there are moments of kind of dramatization and certain things in there that didn't really happen in real life, but they're in there just to push the story along from a narrative point of view.
Yeah.
Just that's how TV should be. Just we've got a story to tell. It's going to take 5 episodes. We're not going to
tell
drag
it.
this out for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a money making kind of thing. This is just the story that I'm going to tell. It's a mini series, one and done kind of thing, and it's going to fucking ruin your life. Because it has moments in there where you just kind of like, holy shit, really
All right.
harrowing shit. But
So
that's
worth
the
checking
nature.
out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I don't think it'd be something I would rush to go back and watch again. If
Right.
that
Okay.
makes sense. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I've seen it, I've experienced it.
You've enjoyed it.
Enjoy is the wrong word. It's not something that you enjoy. It's something that you experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really, really expertly crafted piece of TV. And then on Friday night, I binge watched season 5 of Black Mirror. I say binge watch. There's only 3 episodes, but big fan of Black Mirror.
3 episodes in season 5. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Is that it? Yeah.
That's it. Unless they're going to release a few more episodes later in the year. I haven't heard of that, but because I think there was 6 episodes last year on Netflix, or 5, something like that. But they've gone down to 3 this year. So, yeah. The first episode was okay. Second episode was better. The third episode, with Miley Cyrus in it, is by far my favourite episode out of the whole 3. Yeah, it just
What? Just because she's in it?
yeah, she makes it. She really does make it, and there's a turning point halfway through the episode where something happens, and if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it involves her character, or an avatar of her character.
Yeah.
I don't really want to give it away because I was just kind of like, holy shit, the story just takes a dive to the left, and I wasn't expecting going it that way. But her performance after that halfway point is really fucking funny. It brings a lot of humour and lightens up the episode in a real good way, and brings a sense of fun. And I just wasn't expecting it at all. And like her delivery of the dialogue and everything about it was just like absolutely spot on. I was laughing out loud at that, and I don't laugh out loud at home when I'm watching something all that often. I might raise a smirk or a smile, but for something to have me laughing, belly laughing, I was just like, okay, yeah. So really unexpected, but yeah, really good. However, season overall a little bit disappointing because yeah, shorter season, and I don't think the stories were quite up to snuff this time around. I think Black Mirror's starting to overstay its welcome since they started getting the Hollywood actors and actresses involved in it. I don't think the quality of the stories that it wants to tell has quite been up to par from when it was, back in the days on Channel 4.
When they first started, yeah.
Yeah. But there we go. So that's pretty much me up to date. What have you been watching?
Well, I've not watched that much. I'm pretty much the same as you, but I did take the plunge in midweek when it was released and went to watch X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Okay, let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get into this one because you said you're not going to watch it, so you're not no interest in it. So
I've got zero fucking interest in it. I have a very love-hate relationship with the Fox X-Men films because I liked X-Men 1.
Yeah.
But when I've gone back and watched it subsequently, I don't think it holds up as well as, I thought originally. X-Men 2...
Well, if you had to compare the original X-Men film to, say, Iron Man, what do you think's hold up better? Iron Man.
Considering I watched Iron Man the other night and did a commentary on it, Iron Man holds up perfectly well.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfectly. Whereas X-Men... And I know X-Men was kind of like at the front of the comic book revival, so to speak. It was pretty much the thing that kicked the whole thing off.
Yeah.
I know a couple of years beforehand we had Blade, but Blade was more of a cult hit, whereas X-Men was more accepted in terms of general audiences. They went out to watch this film, whereas Blade really found its audience on VHS and DVD in the years after the fact. It wasn't a theatrical hit by any means. Even though it's a good film, I think Blade holds up better than the first X-Men film. The problem is with the first X-Men film, it feels like a trailer in comparison to what came after.
Yeah, do you think that they planned for the actual sequels to the original film? Do you think, or they just...
No, I think they were chancing their arm.
Film?
I think they were chancing their arm. I think they I don't think they planned for it at all. No. I think it was just a case of, oh shit, we've got ourselves a fucking hit here. Let's see what we can actually do. X-Men 2 was by far the best of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Because X-Men 3, the less said about that, the better. It's just going back to X-Men 1, it felt really hollow. There wasn't much in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I felt the same actually when I revisited that film. But you forget though, it's I say it's nearly 20-year-old, that film.
Yeah, you do forget that. You completely forget that because X-Men has been kind of consistently releasing films, afterwards. So varying quality. I mean, for me, I really like where they went with First Class.
Yeah, we touched on that last time, and with that kind of like with the.
I was less enamored with Days of Future Past, even though it was a good film. I don't think it's as good as what everyone makes it out to be. And then they really kind of dropped the ball with Apocalypse. I was like, we're back to X-Men 3 territory here. And if
anything, I'd say Apocalypse is worse than The Last Stand, in my opinion.
Well. Yeah,
I mean,
do you know what? I'd probably put them on par. I'd put them on par with each other.
I just think because Apocalypse for me, he was a huge letdown. I've always been a fan of the comics and the 90s cartoon, and Apocalypse was one of the best villains in that cartoon. And when I thought he's going to come onto the big screen here, this is going to be.
They really got him wrong. They just got him so wrong.
Completely wrong. You know what I mean? He kept him small as well. He's you know what I mean? He's massive. He's like 9 foot, 10 foot tall.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to make a character blue, don't be afraid to actually show the powers that he has. Because he could make himself massive, small. He pretty much was almost like he could do anything.
Yeah, that was it. I think he saw his powers really well. His like size powers when he was inside Xavier's head.
Yeah, I think they did that just because they wanted to kind of like say, oh yeah, we know he can actually make himself bigger, but I don't think they were fully prepared to actually show him doing that. Yeah, exactly. So they thought, oh, we'll be clever with it and we'll have it as a battle inside, a battle of the minds inside Xavier's kind of consciousness, which will explain that away, but we don't actually have to show it because we don't think I just don't think they had much faith in the audience. Because it felt like they were almost afraid to actually have him do that in the real world of the film.
Yeah, if you're going to go all out Apocalypse, just go all out for him. Don't go half.
Yeah, I had really bad feelings about Apocalypse when you saw the first pictures like leaked off set, and then he was getting compared to Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers.
Yeah, from the movie. Yeah, and he reminded me as well of the Jin from the Wishmaster films as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Him and the Power Rangers villain.
Yeah, that's 2 Power Rangers references in the podcast so far, if anyone's keeping count. So they got everything about that wrong, and I think, I'm not going to touch on that. Go on, right. So tell me about Dark Phoenix. Come on.
Dark Phoenix. Well, I'm going to spoil it anyway because I'm not going to beat you around the bush. I'm just going to fucking spoil it anyway.
Right. So spoilers coming. If anyone who hasn't seen Dark Phoenix and wants to see it, doesn't want to have the film spoiled, give us 5 minutes. Skip ahead.
Maybe
or
10.
Pause the podcast. Maybe 10. Yeah, depending on how much we go into. Skip ahead, and in fact, check the show notes. I'll tell you when you can come back and everything's safe.
Because I said the film was only come out last Wednesday, so it should have been out a few days, isn't it? So I'm assuming that people will want to go and watch it because they are X-Men fans. But yeah, getting into it. I knew it had gone for reshoots a while back. They called out all the cast back in there for reshooting, and there was saying that it's going to be the worst X-Men film and stuff. It's going to be compared to like the Fantastic Four film that came out a while back from
But
Fox.
it was just it wasn't a whole reshoot though, was it? It was just from what I've read, it was just the third act, the final kind of like conflict on.
Yeah.
Everything that happens on the train at the end of the film is what they reshot.
Well, the train actually it's good. I don't know what if they had that planned in the first place, or was a totally different scene altogether. And
it was a totally different scene. From what I've read, it was supposed to be a scene that took place in space, like on a spaceship towards the end of the film.
Right.
So.
Well, they went to space near the start of the film anyway, so
yeah.
I don't know why they go back there anyway. But yeah, so I went in and watched it, and I thought, yeah, low expectation on this film. I came out of it and I quite actually enjoyed it for what it was, even though it had a lot of problems with the film. And one of them as well, like, this is the first spoiler anyway, Mystique does get killed off.
Well, that's not a spoiler, it's in the fucking trailer.
Yeah, and
it's just kind of, we're back at Terminator Genesis here. It's kind of like, we're just going to put the biggest twist of the film in the fucking trailer and just spoil it for people.
Yeah, and I was always a bit skeptical why Jennifer Lawrence has come back anyway to the franchise, because she said
she's contracted. That's the upper
hand. Oh, is that what it was?
That's all it is. Yeah, she's been trying to get out of it for ages. So
yeah, because she was saying that's it, she's done now, and she won't be coming back again because she got fed up of wearing the makeup, didn't she? In the makeup chair for like 4 hours with it, or whatever, 8 hours with that.
Well, it's because of her that they changed it from because when she did First Class, which was her first appearance of it, it was prosthetics and it was paint, similar to how Rebecca Romaine was done.
Yeah, in the original trilogy, yeah.
Yeah, but then because she was bitching and moaning about it, sorry, I'm just opening a drink here. Because she was bitching and moaning about it, they managed to change it so it became like this blue leotard that she was wearing.
Yeah, but you could tell it's obviously you can tell it's a leotard she's wearing.
Mm.
I don't even think in this film, I don't even think she goes full Mystique. I think she's just like, it's just like a head, a face kind of thing, and she's got the X-Men suit on.
I was going to say everything I've seen of her in the trailer is just like her head.
Yeah, like the jumpsuit she's wearing. Yeah, that's it. I could not buy into Sophie Turner playing Jean Grey. I just could not buy into that. You know what I mean? Even from
I didn't buy that from Apocalypse, no, because I just don't think Sophie Turner's a very good actress. No,
I think she's all right at Game of Thrones from what I've heard, because I don't watch Game of Thrones, so everybody says she's good in that, but
she's not great in it. It's just because of the character that she's playing kind of lends to her strengths as an actress, which is very one note. It's not that she's playing her very well, it's just that the character as written is very kind of like one note. It doesn't demand much of her kind of thing. So
I mean, they're asking a big thing here for this. Is it's like the latest X-Men film, and Sophie Turner's got to carry the film. And for me, it just fell on its face.
She just has. There's not. She's a pretty face, and that's about it. She doesn't have much flair or charisma about her.
Just one one tone kind of thing. You know what I mean? It never seems to I don't know, raise it up a bar or anything.
Yeah, everything I've seen of her is just kind of like she, her voice doesn't really seem to go up or down, or there's just no emotion. She just acts with her mouth and not with her eyes. She's like Ben Affleck sometimes. When Affleck's off his game, most people will say that's most of the time. But when Ben Affleck is like acting bad in a bad film, if you watch his acting, he's just saying the words. There's no feeling or emotion in his eyes, and that's the difference between someone who's just kind of reading the lines and someone who's acting and being that inhabiting that character kind of thing. At least for me, anyway. As someone who's never acted in his life,
But Sophie Turner for me, she's not Jean Grey, so I couldn't buy into that. Obviously, you knew that Mystique was going to get killed off anyway. You saw that coming a mile off, and straight with Self as well. The film, you just knew that the way the film was going, because your dad said near the start, you just knew that she was going to croak it.
Right.
What else happened now? What really annoyed me?
When you say she dies at the start, are we talking like first act?
Maybe, Seth. Yeah. First, when they go to space, and there's a space shuttle launch, and they go up to. They get stuck with a solar spur. I think it's in space. So they go up, the X-Men, in the fight in their jet. So I didn't know it could actually, come out of and fly in space. I thought it was just more like just a plane, but it just
Yeah,
they
me
could go,
too. But
and they obviously could leave our atmosphere and they could go up into space in it. So they go up there to save these astronauts and they bring them back, and she ended up getting kind of like attached to this solar spur, um, and they bring her back and she's unconscious, and they take her back to the lab and back in Xavier's his school. Beast ends up by saying, "Oh yeah, you're off the charts," kind of thing. You've seemed to like your powers have seemed to have gone up and stuff. You seem to have increased, but and then she starts when she was a kid. Xavier, she had a car crash as a kid. Her mum dies in the car crash, and you think that her dad dies, but it turns out her dad's not died. Xavier's blocked out. The fact is, her dad's still alive from her memory, so that Xavier can look after himself and take her to his school. And you see, he keeps seeing flashbacks of what her dad saying, "Oh, can you? I don't know what's wrong with her, and she's a mutant and stuff." And Xavier said, "Well, I'll look after her." And he's blocked all that from Jean Grey's mind from when she was a kid. But she's pissed off that Xavier's blocked all that from her mind. Right. So she fucks off to see her dad, and in his house there by himself, and just pictures up and stuff of her mum and her dad together. And she's like, well, "There's no pictures of me and stuff like, and why?" And she gets pissed off, and the X-Men go to kind of like bring her back to the school, to Xavier's, and she ends up just fucking unleashing hell, and she takes out Quicksilver straight away. When I say take him out, I mean she injures him and you never see him again until right at the end of the film. So, and that was another thing that annoyed me as well. The fact is, obviously, you know that Magneto's Quicksilver's dad, and they never even touched on that again. I thought, because they kind of teased it in Days of Future Past, and they kind of went there with Apocalypse. He thought he was going to mention it and say, "Oh yeah, you're my dad" and stuff, but he kind of bottled it himself. Quicksilver said, "Oh, I'm here for my family." In the end, they're saying like, "Oh, you're my dad."
Yeah.
They never even went there in this film. Never even mentioned it. It was just kind of Quicksilver was in it at the start of the space shuttle mission, and then the part where he gets injured by Jean Grey, and then you never see him till right to the end of the film, like just before the credits roll. You think, what a waste.
Right.
So that annoyed me as well. But some stuff was pretty good. The action scenes were actually all right, and Magneto, when he turns up as well, and he has like a bit of a thing against Jean Grey, because Jean Grey goes to because he's got a little community of the little mutants and a little bit of land there, and he's obviously been living there for a few years now, but I don't know, I said 10 years since the happenings of Apocalypse or whatever it was, because this is set in 1992. I think Apocalypse might have been the early 80s.
Yeah,
which is 10 years anyway.
Which is another thing. It's just kind of like, so this is set in 1992, and the first X-Men film, the 2000 X-Men film, was set in current time at the time in 2000. So in 8 years, you have to kind of this is kind of like
Fassbender
to Ian McKellen, and James McAvoy in 8 years becomes Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
how the fuck does that work?
Yeah, that's it. Because Ian McKellen in the first X-Men film, he looks probably like what you say, 60s, late 50s.
They're both in the 60s, aren't they? At that point.
Yeah,
100%. In the 60s.
That's the thing as well with this film, because Magneto, obviously, he's supposed to be what he said now. He's supposed to be fucking him, Xavier, and Beast have got to be in the mid 40s or late 40s, but they still look like they're in the 30s.
Yeah.
And you can get away with it Mystique a little bit, because she could probably just make herself look a bit younger anyway.
Well, the thing is, this is the other thing, right? They introduced James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender as Magneto and Xavier in Days of Future Past. Not in First Class. First Class was set in the 60s.
Yeah.
And now we're 30 years on, but McAvoy has only gone bald. He's clearly not 30 years older. And Fassbender, same thing for him, apart from the baldness.
Yeah. Well, Fassbender actually looks older in this film. I don't know if he's aged quicker.
He's starting to look a little bit older. I've seen him in a couple of interviews when he's been doing the press junkets for this, and he's getting the old crow's feet around there. He's still a handsome bastard, but he's aging. I think James McAvoy is one of those eternally youthful people.
I mean, if you look at Fassbender in say First Class to where he is now, he has aged. The most, I think. But I think as well, though, that's
10 years ago as well, isn't it? I mean, when was First
Yeah.
Class made? So
What was that? That must be 2010 or something. That is it.
I'm gonna say 2011 it is.
Right.
So
So
it's
that's
8 years
8 years.
ago. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But another thing as well, like Quicksilver, he must be in what his character's got to be in his late 30s, you say? Perhaps his character itself, because he was in 70s, he was about 16, 17-year old when Wolverine went to saw him in his basement there. In Apocalypse, he was a good 10 years later, so he's in his mid-20s, and this one he's got to be in his mid-30s, I'd say. But they did exactly this. He looks exactly the same as he did in Apocalypse, but he's just got a bit of stubble. Same for Nicholas Hoult as well, Beast. He's just got a bit of stubble as well.
yeah, it just
It's like, that's
the
way
whole
around it.
timeline
Just
now
go a
just
beard a
doesn't
bit.
make any sense, does it? I
Yeah,
mean,
so
that's one of the things that I was surprised at, because I was when you said that you'd been and seen it, I started reading up a little bit on like the X-Men and what was supposed to be. And for anyone who doesn't know, with First Class, that was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did like Layer Cake, he did Kick Ass and Kingsman, and there was kind of like he was supposed to come back for X-Men Second Class or whatever it was going to be after First Class,
yeah,
and he had an idea for another film in between First Class and Days of Future Past. His idea was it was going to be a trilogy, and Days of Future Past was going to be like the conclusion to his trilogy. Like they were going to build up to the fact, like the climax of his trilogy would be having the old cast and the new cast together in Days of
yeah,
Future Past.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Fox saw that script and they were like, "This is really good. We want to do this next." And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. We can't go from there to there because there has to be something in between. Because where'd you go from that? If you make that,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
make that the second film, where'd you go from that?"
So
And
basically, Fox
Fox,
sped it up a bit, didn't they?
yeah, Fox just didn't
Yeah,
care about that, because they were like, "We'll think of something." And then they went with Apocalypse, which narratively doesn't follow on from Days of Future Past, and it's just kind of like fucking Fox screwing things up again. Just
yeah, yeah. You're
surely
right.
they would have learnt the lesson by now. Like when Fox just go hands off with the X-Men franchise or the X-Men characters, you get gold. If you just go hands off, just let the fucking director and the writers make the film that they've written and directed. Like, look at the success that they had with Logan. Look at the success that they had with Deadpool, because they were, yeah, granted they were lower budget projects, but they were still X-Men projects, and
Yeah,
they were essentially, letting the creative team behind the films make the films that they wanted.
yeah. Do,
And
do the thing.
Logan is by far the best X-Men film out of all of them.
Yeah,
And for
it's a
me,
shame.
that should have been the last X-Men film. That should have
Yeah.
saw the franchise out.
I mean, this is the thing. When I came away from watching Dark Phoenix as well, I was thinking to myself, we didn't really need this film because it's not set up anything now. It's not going to go anywhere else now, because that's potentially that could be the end of the X-Men franchise, of this franchise
Well,
anyway, unless Disney and Marvel come up with like something new, or I don't know what they're going to do for going forward. But I just thought to myself, we didn't really need it. You know what I mean? They could have just left it at Apocalypse and just thought, right, okay, that's it.
I'd be very surprised if Disney actually, incorporate any of the actors from the Fox franchise into the MCU
Yeah,
version of.
it's a shame really, because you've got a Fassbender there and McAvoy, decent actors, but I think just last few films have let them down. Apocalypse and obviously Dark Phoenix. I think you
Yeah,
can get Days of Future Past, obviously first class quality films. I know that Days of Future Past for me maybe just over halfway. It just tailed off a bit, but still a good film anyway. But Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, it's like, what are you doing with these two quality actors here?
yeah, yeah.
Wasted.
But
Um,
I've said, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but I've always said that when they rebooted X-Men with like the first class cast, whatever they did should have centered around Fassbender and McAvoy and the relationship between Charles Xavier
yeah,
and Eric, and seeing how they went from being these, these really close friends to being um, enemies but still having that like level of respect and friendship there, but buried under whatever tragedy happened. Because obviously, you got the scene at the end of First Class where, Charles is paralyzed because of Eric and all that kind of stuff. But there
Yeah,
was just so much more room for that to kind of like fester and grow, and the kind of difference of opinion or the difference of ideologies between those two characters. You
yeah,
know,
that's it.
that was the root of that film for me, and they should have explored that deeper instead of trying to fast track it Days of Future Past and rush into something else. I mean, it's just so frustrating because
Yeah,
that's why I have a hard time actually going back and enjoying the previous X-Men films, because there's just so much potential there that has been left untapped because Fox just were greedy in a way and just couldn't wait and didn't necessarily have faith in the directors and the writers' original vision for where they wanted to take these characters. It's just such a shame. But I
yeah,
mean, like you said, it's gone back to Marvel now. Hopefully in a few years' time, because they're going to have to give it a few years before they try rebooting this. I don't think they're going to fast track um, the Fantastic Four or the X-Men
yeah,
franchises
yeah. I
like they
think
have done with Spider-Man. I think they only did that with Spider-Man because, obviously
it,
Sony was on board to play ball with that,
yeah, they wanted him in Civil War, didn't they? Get him
and
in there.
they because obviously Spider-Man's going to play a massive part of the MCU moving forward. He's going to be the new figurehead by the look of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've got that other X-Men film. Well, it's a tie-in, isn't it? That New Mutants.
Again, where's that going to go though?
I don't have a clue.
I
I don't
mean,
have a clue.
I don't think they even have much of a clue, because when was the last time you saw a trailer or a poster
Well,
or
I saw a
any kind
trailer
of?
for that ages ago. It must have been easy about 8 months ago.
I was just going to say it was last year when I saw a trailer for that. I've not
Yeah,
seen
I
it
mean, I've
since.
heard that it's reshoots again, and they've kind of been out for reshoots on that. So I don't know what's
Yeah,
going on. Yeah, but just sticking with Dark Phoenix as well. I'll go through the good things anyway. The good action scenes. The part where Jean Grey turned up at Minito's like little community grounds there, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" You know what I mean? She said, "Oh, I've done something really bad," and he's like, Magneto saying to her, "What's that blood on your shirt? Whose blood is that?" And obviously she won't tell Magneto. She just like, "Oh, you've done evil things. You've killed people in the past. How did you stop?" And he just said, "Well, I've killed that many people. I've avenged." Done a lot of avenging and stuff, but I've just realised that it's not going to bring the people back I love and care for, so I stopped killing people. And he's got his little like community with other mutants, and
yeah.
then the army turn up, and the army have come for Jean Grey, and they're like, "We're not come for you, Magneto," and he's kind of like arguing, "We've been here for years and stuff," and peacefully. So they come, "Oh, yeah, we've come for Jean Grey." Jean Grey comes out and basically just says, "Oh, you mean on your way," kind of thing. But they draw the guns out, and Jean Grey but it wreaks havoc with the
So
helicopters and
does
stuff
that?
like that.
I was going to say, does that lead to the bit with the helicopter crashing down?
That's it, yeah, which is pretty good because she's obviously using her powers, and Minito's kind of like using his powers to stop the helicopter by crushing everybody. So he's like, "Just get on it," kind of thing. He's using his powers, just saying, "Get on it" to the enemy bot soldiers. So they jump on the helicopter quick, and then he sends them off, and he tells Jean Grey to leave, so she buggers off, and then Beast turns up by himself because he's had a fault with Xavier. He said, "It's all your fault, this, because Mystique has been killed because you blocked out Jean Grey's memories as a kid and stuff, and you should never have done that." So he falls out with Xavier.
Mm.
So he goes to see Magneto. I mean, Magneto's like, "What are you doing here?" And
Yeah, I've seen like a press
so,
shot with Beast
um,
on side with Magneto as the facing off with
yeah,
Charles and
Charles,
yeah. So
yeah, Nightcrawler and
yeah,
Cyclops. Yeah, so he's like, "What are you doing here?" And Beast is like, "Do you not know what's happened here?" And he's like, "Yeah, Mystique, Jean Grey killed Mystique," and he's like, obviously gets upset, then he's had a bit of a relationship with Mystique from First Class and Days of Future Past.
yeah.
So he said, "Right, I'll come and get her, but I'm not gonna catch her. I'm just gonna kill her." And he's like, Beast is saying, "Well, yeah, that's what I've asked you to come and help me find her." The Beast wants her killed as well, to obviously kill Mystique.
So how does
So
Jessica Chastain play into this then?
Is that the blonde-haired
Yeah.
character? Yeah, she's like the main villain because it's this solar spur what's it's stuck inside Jean Grey. Um, it's kind of it's enhanced her powers. Anyway, it destroyed her home planet, so she's come to Earth, and there's like a group of these
So
creatures.
she's not a mutant, she's an alien then.
She's an alien, yeah, but they disguise themselves in human form. When they appeared at the start of the film, they can't. When she was running through the forest, they looked a bit like Groot from the MCU films. From Guardians of the Galaxy. Looked a bit like Groot. First shot, I thought, is that Groot? And they're kind of like wooden creatures, or they look wooden anyway, but they're probably like just brown mutant skins on them. And she's obviously she's tracking down Jean Grey because she wants the power to wipe, or she says to Jean Grey at first, you've got that much potential in you, and you can create life on other planets, you can create planets, you can destroy planets. So she shows Jean Grey, and Jean Grey's up for it, kind of thing. And then she says, no, I don't want to kill Xavier, because she's the part where there's a choice to kill Xavier, and she just want to do it. So she says to her, you take the powers and you have it. So she starts giving her the powers, and then they kind of like, who's the character in Days of Future Past, now his name, forget, Stryker.
Yeah.
That Stryker's gang, these, they got like a name on there. They come in, but Stryker's not in it, and neither is his group. They're kind of like mutant, I don't know, like mutant agency or something like that. Anyway, they come intervene and they take down Jean Grey and capture and stuff, and put them on the train near the end of the film with all the other X-Men and Magneto and stuff after they've kind of like gone and a big battle between themselves. And they all jump on the train and they come for get Jean Grey. She's tied up on the train, and the X-Men know that these creatures are coming. They're coming for Jean Grey, so they said to the soldier boats, "Oh, let us out," to the cuffs kind of thing, because they're all tied up. Let us out, and we'll help you. We're the only chance you've got, really. You'll not stand a chance against these things. So they turn up anyway, and they start destroying the train, and they put people on it. And Jean Grey comes out, and she says, well, there's a bit of fighting as well in between and stuff, and Magneto takes a lot of them out. And Jean Grey said, oh, if you want the power, then you can have the power. So she gives the woman all the power. And she's going to give her all the power, but it's going to take her all the X-Men as well, the blast of it.
Yeah.
Going to destroy all the X-Men, because I think it starts going, the blast ends up going towards Cyclops, and bits of his skin started falling off, and he's like, Jean. It's a bit like, it reminded me a bit of the Ash in, when they all fall to Ash in Infinity War. A little bit like that, really, a tiny little bit. So they're like, oh no, Jean. So Jean goes, right, and then she just flies off into the space, and she's holding her with the blonde flies off into space and just blows up in space, and you think, all right, okay, that's it, Jean Grey's dead. But right at the end of the film, where it ends with typical Xavier and Magneto playing chess in France, and they have a chess there, and you just see in the sky, just see the Phoenix flying over in the sky. So maybe she's not dead, but it's because Xavier, he's not at the school anymore, because the school's been renamed at the end of the film.
They just copied the fucking ending of X-Men 2, haven't they, with the fucking Phoenix, floating underneath the water.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, you're not treading any new ground here. You just, no, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes near the end of the film as well, when it's all over. It goes back to the school, and it shows that Beastie's, obviously, he's running the school now. The school's been renamed the Jean School, like Jean Grey School for gifted children, instead of like Xavier's. And Storm's there teaching, and you see Cyclops walking through the corridor with Quicksilver. He's back. You don't really see him at the start of the film, and then he appears right at the end. And then it's shot over to France somewhere, and Xavier's sat by himself in a cafe, and Magneto turns up with a chessboard and starts playing chess, and then that's it.
Yeah, from what you've just described there, mate, I'm not going to fucking watch
it. The action scenes were good, though, actually. I'll tell you that, the action scenes were good. And when Magneto turned up, I thought, because Fassbender's got a good presence on the screen, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be good, this. And it was just the other stuff what goes along with it. He was like, oh, no, Yeah, I came away from it and I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't come out of there and think, oh my god, this is the best X-Men film ever. This, but I came out of there and thought, considering I had a lot of expectations of the film, when I came out, I thought this film is actually better than what I thought. What I expected it to be. The action seems to be good, but it's all that stuff going in the background. You know what I mean? Like Mystique getting killed off, and you think, well, you showed us that in the trailer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's a skip it.
It's skip it. But if you're an X-Men fan, you may want to check it out just because you've seen all the other X-Men films.
Just for a sense of conclusion.
Yeah, but it doesn't really conclude anything. That you know what I mean? Like I say, it was a film. It's a film what's been made. What we didn't need.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just pointless, really. In a way, but I say the action scenes was good. There's a few little nice things in it, but Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, no. Yeah.
Okay, you've not sold me on it, so.
No, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Just well, it's one of them.
I think with you, mate. I think you're probably better off watching it, maybe streaming it or something like that. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be intrigued, aren't you, a little bit to see. Oh yeah, what's it like? But
not at all. Not at all.
Maybe not. Or maybe not. All right.
No, not at all. I like I said, I had big issues with this when I saw like the trailers for it. I was just kind of like, nope, doesn't feel right. It feels bad. And then I heard the reshoot stuff. How you just described how they conclude the story. How they conclude the story sounds really fucking shit to me. So I've got zero interest in, even less than what I had before we started having this conversation.
All right.
So, yeah. I think I know all I need to know about that. So hurry up, Marvel, reboot the X-Men franchise and get it done properly.
Yeah, I think they're going to give it at least 5 to 10 years before they actually reboot it and bring them into MCU.
Yeah, they'll probably wait until like Phase 5. They'll get Phase 4 out of the way and they'll start introducing them in Phase 5.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Did you hear about that? I read it on Facebook actually. I don't know if it's just a rumor or what, but apparently Captain Marvel is going to be this. She's the front runner, isn't she? She's going to be the leader of the next phases of the Avengers.
I've heard that they've tied Brie Larson down to like a 7-picture deal.
Yeah, we mentioned that, didn't we, on the last podcast?
Yeah.
Maybe they've done that because she's cheap at the moment, as you said.
Yeah, she needs to start becoming likable very quickly and keep her personal politics under wraps. And
well, she was likable in Endgame, but you said Captain Marvel, her film itself, no.
We'll see what happens. I know that Marvel are, because some leaked pictures have come out with Scarlett Johansson dressed as Black Widow. So they are very quietly, because they haven't even announced that they're filming it, but they are obviously filming the Black Widow film as we speak.
Right, nice.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
So is this a prequel then?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's obviously she's brain bred, isn't she?
Carts it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
Just remembered something else as well about Dark Phoenix as well. There's a scene as well where Magneto says like he's going to go and kill Jean Grey, so he buggers off and he gets Beasties by his side, and he's got these 2 other mutants. I don't even think you find out what the names are in here. One of them's got dreadlocks, and there's this woman as well who's got like telepathic powers, a bit like Xavier. So basically, it's them 4 against Xavier, Cyclops, Storm, and Nightcrawler fighting on the street, and why Jean Grey's in this building. So obviously, Xavier's going in for save her, for talk to her kind of thing, get her to come home, and Magneto's just going in for kill her basically. So there's a big battle on the street, which is actually pretty good. Magneto ends up getting in the building for see Jean Grey, and I think she's like lets him have his moment where he's just about to kill her kind of thing. He gets, I think it's a bit of metal off the staircase. So it's kind of like shaped like a snake in a way with the points on it, and it comes and she just uses her powers and stops it. She said, you can't even do that. You've come here to kill me. You can't even kill me. So she just casts that to one side and just elevates Magneto, lifts him up, and then just starts crushing his helmet. So he sees his helmet going in and his nose starts bleeding and stuff like that. I thought they're going to actually go there. They're going to kill Magneto here at this point. And then she splits his helmet kind of like in about 4 places and it breaks off. I thought this is it here because he's like, she's going to kill him. Going to see Magneto's death on screen here, but she just kind of like chucks him outside of the building, like propels him back outside. And I think, no, well, you teased it, but I thought you were actually going to go there, but didn't. So, but yeah, just it was good. The action scene's actually all right in the film. I'll give them that, but that's it.
Right, okay. Yeah. Moving swiftly on.
you don't get a Quicksilver scene as well with him in slow motion running, and you see the music, and you hear the music, and you don't get anything like that. He's not in it long enough.
Oh,
He
good.
does get a couple of slow motion scenes. Where I think it's when he's in space, he's saving the astronauts. He's jumping around, but there's no music playing in the background, like in Days of Future Past and Apocalypse.
Oh well.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, let's get to the main feature.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Please, let's move this on because
Before we end up with like a 5-hour podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is your pick, and it is the 2004 Rom Zom Com or Com Zom Rom or something or other. I just remember they put that on the poster. Shaun of the Dead.
That's the one.
So why have you picked this film?
I think it's one of those films. I think it's always stuck with me as just being an absolute. Well, no, I wouldn't say classic. I'd say it's an absolute quality film. I think it's on film. Even though it's made in 2004, I think it has aged a little bit because the scenes in the film we're going to probably touch on anyway. You can tell the age of the film anyway. But I think it's one you could put it on any time of the year, any time of the month or whatever. Just watch it, and you can still enjoy it regardless. You always get something out of it. It's just an enjoyable watch. Really good, enjoyable watch. What about yourself, Mike?
Yeah, I can't disagree.
The actors are spot on as well. Simon Pegg for his role as Shaun. You got Nick Frost as Ed, his best mate. Spot on. Brilliant cast.
Yeah, I think they're kind of drawing from personal experience because the relationship between Nick Frost and Simon Pegg is based on when they were living together. So, and Nick Frost has said that he his character of Ed is pretty much how he acted when he was living with Simon Frost in an apartment together. So a bit selfish, bit of a dick, bit of a twat. So
fighting all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I'm just trying to. I have spoken about this on the Get to the Chopper podcast when we did the Dawn of the Dead episode. But I watched this when it came out because it came out a couple of weeks after Dawn of the Dead came out in the UK.
Yeah, the remake.
Yeah, and I went to watch this at the cinema at the Lowry in Salford Keys, the Red Cinema.
Right, yeah.
Did you ever work at that one?
At the Lowry? No, I remember when I worked at Pillsworth for you, Mel, the manager at the time as well, or one of the managers, because we used to have a few. She took a few staff up there, didn't she? Covering a few nights. I think there were you, Anthony went to work, Becky got up there a few nights covering while they went to like the works do or something.
Yeah, I think it was the launch, just opening it up.
Oh, right.
I think we were covering a works do over at Bolton. I remember that one. Yeah, I think we covered the Christmas do over there with Mel. But
yeah,
I remember.
I think that. I mean, I might be wrong with this, but I think the people that I think Chris Manning was one of them actually went over and worked in Bolton or something because it was the ones that lived. She could drop off near her house or something like that.
Sounds about right. Yeah, we'll have to ask him next time he's on the podcast.
Yeah.
I went through a period of time of actually really enjoying watching the films over at the Lowry, because like the big screen number one over there was massive. I think it had like 700 seats in there or something. And really cool kind of seats.
I think I've been in there myself actually. I've only been to the cinema twice. One of them definitely was Alien vs Predator Requiem. I might watch that. I think it was opening night or something like that. And maybe it was a massive screen.
Yeah, Screen 1 is huge. I remember taking my granddad to watch. I think I took him to watch Casino Royale there. Took my granddad, took my nan, and there was me and the girlfriend at the time. And I remember walking out, and he fucking tripped and fell down the stairs. I was like, "Oh my god, he's definitely fucking broke his hip here." But he did like a comedy tumble. He did like a roly-poly tumble down like 2 little flights of stairs down. I was like, "No!" And then he just popped up, and he was like, just kind of brushed himself off. He was like, "Right, okay, let's go to the car."
It's a shame you didn't have your phone out at the time. You could have sent it off that you've been framed or something and got 150 quid or whatever.
I know. I remember going watching it there, and I went with the brother-in-law at the time, and we did a double bill, and I'm pretty sure that we did Dawn of the Dead first, and then Shaun of the Dead was second. I'm not 100%. But either way, we watched them back to back. So we watched Dawn of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead together, kind of thing.
Yeah, from my experiences though, I think I didn't watch Shaun of the Dead at the cinema. I think it was on DVD. I think I caught it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it'd been out that long anyway on DVD, and I caught it. But the first time I saw it as a trailer for when I watched Dawn of the Dead at the cinema. It was advertised there, and I remember just thinking, oh, what's this kind of thing, and never seen it before, anything ever advertised, and so when I just thought, oh, yeah, that's worth checking out. But I never got went to watch it at the cinema, so it was just DVD for me.
So when you'd seen Shaun of the Dead, had you seen Space beforehand?
No.
See, neither had I.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure on what to expect, and then I went in and watched Shaun of the Dead, and like I say, it was a double bill that we did with Dawn, and I really liked the remake of Dawn of the Dead as well. I thought it was really well done.
It's one of the better remakes.
Yeah, absolutely. But watching it, in a double bill with a comedy version of a zombie film as well, was just kind of like the perfect kind of like juxtaposition between the two films, because Dawn of the Dead is very serious and po-faced and kind of intense with the turbo zombies, running, screaming at you. And then
this is back old school, and it's zombies where they're just
old school zombies where they're just kind of staggering and lumbering and moving towards the camera really slowly, like, because you got that great scene where they're all like trying to blend in with the zombies, haven't you? And they're all like pretending to do the zombie voice, and they're all, yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing more now because I rewatched the film last night, so it stuck in my head.
Yeah. All right. Who died in Veggie? Fucking King of the Zombies.
Yeah. Oh, I've had that in my head as well last couple of days as well, because I watched it last night, but I watched it a few nights before as well. But at the start we introduced to the characters, you've got obviously Simon Pegg, and then you've got his girlfriend there, and his girlfriend's two best mates. What's the names now? I can't remember the names. Well, Harry Potter and Britney Spears basically, in it, they look like. And then you got Ed there playing on the jukebox, and then he's talking to
Harry Potter and Britney Spears. Have you come up with that on the spot?
No, because when I listened to the commentary, and commentary was by Simon Pegg himself and Edgar Wright, and you introduced the characters. That's how you described them. That's Harry Potter, and that's Britney Spears.
It's David and Diane, isn't it? So
that's it, David and Diane. Yeah.
You got Lucy Davis as Diane and Dylan Moran as David. Lucy Davis, fun fact, is Jasper Carrot's daughter, for anyone who didn't know.
Oh, I didn't even know that myself.
Yeah. Obviously, she's gone on to bigger and better things, because she's in the Sabrina TV show on Netflix.
So you watched that, didn't you?
I did, yeah. She's Aunt Hilda in that, and she showed up in Wonder Woman. She was what's her face? Yeah, she was. What was her name? Etta. Yeah, Etta, like the little. I don't even know how to describe her, but she's kind of like, she follows Wonder Woman around, and she's a little bit ditzy, a little bit, yeah.
But I've had that saying stuck in my mind for the last few days as well. When Shaun sat there talking to his girlfriend, and Ed comes over and he's talking about Shaun's mum, and he says she's like butter.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that going through my mind. So that's the only cliche, just get it mentioned this podcast.
I like I say, I didn't really know what to expect, because I was aware of Spaced because it was quite heavily advertised on like Channel 4, but I'd never watched them, so I didn't know exactly what I was getting into with this. And then when I watched Shaun of the Dead, I was like, this is fucking fantastic. I need to know what else these guys have done. So I went back and revisited Space, got it on DVD, and I've still got the DVD box set upstairs to this day.
Well, on the last episode, I think it was on Dread, you mentioned about downloading it off iTunes because it HD, was that something?
Yeah, I haven't.
You're not checked it out.
So no. But
I've just got the DVD box set myself. But I watched Shaun of the Dead last night, and then I put on episode 1 of Spaced, because it's been years since I've watched the any of Spaced, actually. So I
really need to go back and revisit it, because it was kind of like, I didn't know who Edgar Wright was. I wasn't familiar with kind of like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, because like I say, I hadn't seen Spaced, and Had they done anything after Spaced?
What, in between Spaced and Shaun the Dead?
Yeah, I don't think they
Don't.
necessarily did they?
No, if they did, it weren't that well known. I don't think.
Let's have a quick.
Are you Internet Movie Database and you Google?
I am just having a quick look now. Randall Hawkirk and the Brothers. Yeah, nothing massive. I mean, um, Simon Pegg was in 24-Hour Party People. That was on at the cinema when
Oh
we
yeah,
were working there.
yeah.
The Parole Officer, the Steve Coogan film. Guest House Paradiso. Yeah, and then he hits Shaun of the Dead. And then after Shaun of the Dead, like 2 years later after doing Shaun of the Dead, he's in fucking Mission Impossible 3, rubbing shoulders with Tom Cruise. So it just goes to show what kind of impact Shaun of the Dead had on his career.
Yeah, I think as well though, because was it was Shaun the Dead when what I think caught George A. Romero's eye, and that's what made him do Land of the Dead and get back into the Dead films. Like
Yeah,
do
because
a set of
he
films.
had a cameo in Land of the Dead, didn't he?
Well, and Edgar Wright as well when it's sad, but they were zombies when they chained
There
up.
were zombies, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, him and Edgar Wright. Especially weren't him and Nick Frost, to be honest with you. But,
Yeah, but
all three of them anyway. But yeah, just Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg himself.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Edgar Wright from this film, Edgar Wright's easily become one of my favorite directors, even though he's
yeah.
not really turned out a massive amount of stuff. I mean, obviously,
I mean, it was rumored for Ant-Man though, wasn't it? For directing Ant-Man at one point.
well, he was directing Ant-Man, and then he ended up leaving the project on good terms. But
Do you know what happened? Do you know
yeah,
what happened there?
creative differences. It was that whole choice.
Ah, right.
Yeah. But the finished product of Ant-Man feels very much like a Edgar Wright film. Even though Peyton Reed directed that, there's elements in there which, when I've looked into it, they say everything that feels like a Edgar Wright-esque in this film is, Peyton's idea and blah 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 blah. But it's like I don't really believe that, because all of the scenes where like you have those like side swiping montages where Michael Pena's character's going off, and so I said to him and she said to her, and I was like,
Yeah,
Superman, and all that feels very Edgar Wright-y, because Edgar Wright has this kind of like transitional style where he'll use a quick cutting montage.
yeah.
So that felt like the bits like where they're pouring the pints in fucking at World's End,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
you've got the quick cut in between the glass being put onto the fucking thingy, and then the pulling
yeah.
the tap, and the beer's going into the glass, and he quick cutting and all.
And is it a bit like in Shaun the Dead where they open the fridge door and then you see the milk coming out and the milk coming
Yeah,
back in?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Cut,
So
stirring a cup of tea kind of thing.
yeah, exactly
Yeah.
like that. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, Ant-Man, because we were talking about Ant-Man.
Do you know when you said that he left on creative differences? Do you reckon he tried to get Simon Pegg to play Ant-Man?
No, I think they always had Paul Rudd down to play.
Yeah, yeah.
So would have been interesting if they did have like Simon Pegg or Nick Frost show up in in Ant-Man, just in a cameo scene.
Or Simon Pegg as the villain or something.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very British film, Shaun of the Dead, isn't it? Very British film. Just with the humour and all. I mean, it did really well like overseas in America and stuff like that. It's obviously got quite a big following nowadays, but
it's funny that though, isn't it? Because you do think that the Americans would like a sense of humour, because
no, but I think the humour that's in this is actually quite broad and travels quite well, because
very neutral.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff is, very kind of like British, quintessentially British, where you've got the whole, let's just have a cup of tea and wait for this whole thing to blow over.
Blow over, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very British kind of thing for them to do, but I think that still would translate pretty well to like an American audience over there, because they know what that, the sensibility behind that. Even though having a cup of tea and just waiting for, it's fucking really bad outside, but we'll have a cup of tea and everything will be all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
put kettle on duck and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Should we go through some of the cast actually? Because I know we've touched on like obviously the main group of characters, the actors, actresses, but you've got like Bill Nye's in there, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, just kind of like before he blew up as well. Showing up in Shaun as Shaun's stepdad.
Yeah,
And
correct.
then,
Yeah,
I mean, it was after this that he kind of like he blew because the only thing I'd
it was in
known
Underworld. It was
before,
in in Underworld. Was it the second film it was in?
no, he was in the first one. He was the
Oh yeah, he
bit,
was. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think did he have more of a role in the second film? I might
Uh,
be just getting confused. I don't know.
Mate,
She kills
I'm
him at the
not
end of
au
the first
fait
film,
with
doesn't
the
she?
Underworld films because they're just trash. But I know he
Yeah,
showed up in
yeah.
more than one. I don't think. I don't know. I don't know the Underworld film, so I couldn't tell you. But the only thing that I'd seen Bill Nye in that I'd recognise him from was before Shaun of the Dead was he was in Love Actually the year before, and he was in what was that fucking hairdressing film called? We had it on at the cinema.
Hairspray.
No,
Oh,
it had what's his
good one.
face in it? Josh Hartnett doing a really bad British accent with
Well,
I think Alan Rickman was in it. Was it Blow Dry?
I don't remember that one.
Blow Dry. Yeah, it was on at the cinema. You might not have been there. I think it was 2001.
No, that 40 Days, 40 Nights popped in the head then because I think he was in that when it just out. That one
Uh,
was shagging a lot in that film.
yeah, it wasn't that one, no.
No.
I think it was called Blow Dry because I remember putting the posters out for it. Um,
Yeah, I think it was just a bit before my time though.
Blow Dry. Yeah, Blow Dry. I'm just googling it now. Blow Dry was
What?
2001.
Oh yeah, a couple of years,
Yeah,
year
sweet.
before me.
Yeah, yeah. But then, like after Bill Nye showed up in this, like he gets these roles in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and then Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously he was in Hot Fuzz. He returned for the next film.
But he was doing this small role in Hot Fuzz when he at the start and he appeared right back at the end again because he was like the
Yeah,
chief of police when he or something.
yeah.
He didn't appear in World's End though, did he? Oh no, he was the voice. It was the like the alien, like the robot's voice right at the end of the film.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Gary
Which is
King, King of the Humans.
which
Was
is a
in.
nice touch, like getting like the same or a lot of the same cast to come back in the films because it just it
Yeah,
knits the trilogy together a little bit, doesn't it?
yeah, and it's also if you when I watched Revisited Space last night as well. So a lot of the actors and actresses from that episode or that series, what you see in the Cornetto trilogy, because
Yeah.
in Hot Fuzz as well, the guy he works behind the desk at the police station. He's got the long hair and he says some longish hair and he says something about nobody tells me nothing. I think that's his
Bill
line.
Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Bill.
he's in episode one as Spaced as well. So I was like, oh, nice one. And then you got the guy from he was in he's one of the Andes in Hot Fuzz. He's
Rafe
well,
Rafe Spall.
yeah, he's in Spaced as well. So you've got all returning characters as well. Even the guy in Shaun and the Dead as well. No, the guy who works with Shaun and he's like the young lad who's like 17 or something like that.
Yeah, that's Rafe Spall.
Is that him? Oh, right, yeah, because
Yeah.
he plays one of the. I met the other guy who plays one of the Andes, who's in World's End as well. I don't know his name though.
The other Andy is Paddy Considine, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. But
Yeah.
is he in Spaced?
Don't think so.
No.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Wrong.
Cause like I say, it's been ages since I've got not since I've seen Space, so I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised as well though that Raw Family as well. The girl in she was in Raw Family and she was what was her name now? Her name escapes me. Did you ever watch Raw Family?
Nope.
No, of course.
I can't help you with that one, mate. I never got
Yeah.
into Royal Family, so I know the woman who played Mrs.
main
Merton
actress.
was in it. Carolina
Yeah.
Hurd.
Yeah. It's her friend who lives next door. She comes in. She's like biggish girl. It's the main actress in Space, and she crops up in Shaun the Dead as well.
Oh,
No,
Jessica Stevenson.
That's a yeah. Can't remember her name,
Yeah.
but she's in Royal Family as well.
Oh, is she? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. She's the girl who lives next door, the neighbour. They keep Jim Roll keeps like taking the piss out of her because every time she comes in, she put more weight on.
Fucking hell. I don't think that'd fly today, would it?
No,
You're like,
no.
fucking Jim Royle's body shaming her.
Yeah, oh yeah. And he's a bit gut hanging out.
Yeah, he's not exactly the slimmest, is he?
I mean, she's another one though, her weight's up and down in it, because in Space, I noticed she was obviously carrying a bit more weight, but in Shaun the Dead, when he bumps into her in the streets, she obviously slimmed down, hasn't she?
Mm.
A lot, and I'm sure I've seen her in something else as well. Might have been after Shaun the Dead, she did Raw Family, she comes up in that again, and she's put the weight back on again. Or unless she's putting a suit on or something, maybe over the top, make her look bigger.
I'm not touching this one, mate. You're on your own.
Yeah, moving on anyway.
Any complaints, send them directly to Lee.
Yeah.
That's women for you, mate. If they're having kids and stuff like that, then obviously they'll, fluctuate.
Yeah. It's just, maybe she had a few kids, but her weight, I think, has been up and down.
Yeah, because I know she was in an episode of, or an episode or two of Doctor Who as well. Because I was like,
yeah, she was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's one of the face when she crops up in anything and you recognise her instantly.
Yeah, I liked her as Daisy. In Space, yeah. I thought the relationship between her and Simon Pegg's character, Tim, was really good. But again, I didn't discover that until after Shaun of the Dead, because this was kind of like a revelation. I was kind of like, this is truly something that I hadn't seen before. Just the style of the filmmaking, like the transitional shots, combined with the comedy, and then obviously the horror towards the end, because like it starts off, it's a really quotable film. And it lulls you into this kind of like false sense of security because it's really funny, You know that zombies are going to appear at some point because lots of foreshadowing. Shaun's introduced as kind of like almost a living zombie. His first.
Yeah, when he's staggered up at the start. But I think on the commentary, they touched on this and they said that was a bit of a callback to a bit of a nod to the Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
the film starts with that, and the zombie staggers. You see his legs staggering up there, and that's where they kind of thought, we'll use that anyway. And so Shaun's staggering up, but obviously he's not a zombie. He's just woke up and he's got his bed yawning.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like it's one of those things. It's kind of like playing on multiple levels because obviously Shaun is kind of like staggering through life because he has that conversation with Rafe Spall's character Noel. The young cocky kid in the electric shop that he works for, and he's like, "Oh, I want to do something with my life as well. I don't always want to be here." And he's like, "When?" And it's just such a burn because it's kind of, I really want to do something in my life. And then he just turns around and is like, "When?" Yeah, he just says when. And it's like, fucking hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Hang wait a minute. I'm only 28. How old are you? 17. Oh, right.
Oh, right. Yeah. Fucking hell. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those. It's kind of like, I think it's something so relatable because like everyone at some point goes through, life and they wonder, fucking hell, is this really it? Is it just, am I really just fucking gonna get up and go to work and is this life? Is this existence? And you have that kind of like midlife crisis, and you're just kind of like, what have I actually contributed? If I was to fucking fall down dead tomorrow, what have I actually contributed to the world? It's just kind of like, I've got to fucking move on and start doing something with my life.
I think he's kind of stuck in a routine as well, Shaun.
He's stuck in a really bad routine. He's got kind of like a failing relationship with his girlfriend because obviously we see them. He's trying to book a restaurant for their anniversary that he completely forgets about, and he's kind of taking her for granted, and she's getting frustrated with it, and it's just kind of it's so relatable, and things that are kind of like common to a lot of people, I would think, apart from the zombie side of things, but that's like the kick up the arse that he needs to actually get his life in order. the apocalypse. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
the zombie outbreak.
yeah. He's really shit at every other aspect of his life. But turns out he's actually really good at surviving a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, like being the hero.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about being the hero, he literally becomes the hero at the end, doesn't he? Because he's got like the Rambo bandana on and everything, so it's kind of
Yeah, the gun and stuff. Yeah, even when he runs off from the zombies right at the end as well, he's like, "Come and get me! Come and
yeah,
chase me! It's, you know, what I mean, it's a free buffet!" And all the zombies
yeah,
chase him, so his friends can get in the pub and get away, hiding there. You know what I mean? He's proper. Yeah, he's gone from like I don't know, he's gone from a bit of a loser to hero to zero, hasn't he? Yes, it's zero to hero.
zero to hero, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and it's kind of like a trait of Edgar Wright films now to actually lay out the groundwork of the film in the opening, few minutes, because they give the blueprint of what's going to happen in the whole film. When he's talking to Nick Frost after
is
his
that
girlfriend.
yeah when he's upset? Yeah,
Yeah, and he's kind of like, oh, back at the bar for shots and all this kind of have a bite at the King's Head and all this kind of stuff, and it just
yeah. How's that for his last fight gold?
yeah, I just love all of those kind of like little moments. I hadn't seen anything like that before. The very self-referential kind of storytelling that goes on in this kind of film. I was like,
Yeah,
this is
like you said before, there's a lot of foreshadowing in this film, and also in the other films as well. I think Hot Fuzz and World's End, a lot of foreshadowing in films as well. But when I saw the trailer as well the first time, it showed that scene as well with when they're in the pub talking, what you just said, the stagger back to the bar for shots and stuff like that. And then you see the zombie tapping on the window, and he's like, "Oh!" And
yeah,
Ed turns around and said, "Piss Ed."
yeah, pissed, yeah.
Yeah, I
Someone's
think that just
tapping
tickled
the
me.
window outside. Yeah,
But even when they go outside as well, and they're walking down the street, and that zombie there, and you're like, "Oh!" And zim, 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 zim. Oh.
yeah, they're that pissed that they just they're singing away, and they don't even realize that this zombie's creeping up on them, and they just think he's a pisshead,
Yeah.
staggering home at the end of the night.
But even when they come out of the pub as well, there's that couple who are kissing when Shaun walks into the pub at the first in the daylight. There's a couple kissing in the corner at the side of the pub, just outside. And when they come out, Shaun and Ed, and they're talking, you see the same couple there kissing, and they're like, "Oh, I said something to him about, something like eating or something, or just eating."
Oh,
Or
his head falls back. So, oh,
that's it, yeah.
eat him, love. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so many good moments in this film, I think, as well.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah, a lot.
references to kind of like past films and past filmmakers and stuff like that. It's like when they ring up, when Shaun rings up to make that restaurant appointment, the guy on the other end of the phone is Edgar Wright, and
I didn't know that.
yeah, the guy who answers is Edgar Wright, and what's it called? Oh, he puts on a really kind of like offensive Italian accent. Hello, Fucci's. So the name of the restaurant.
Can we have a table for 8 o'clock, please? No, we just saw that last table.
Yeah. But the name of the restaurant is a reference to what's his name? Lucio Fulci, who is
the director, the Italian director of the zombie films.
Yeah. So he did a few zombie films. So lots of little nods and winks to stuff like that. There is actually quite an interesting subtitle track on the DVD, which I mentioned to you.
Yeah, but I mistakenly forgot to watch that. Well, got it wrong, and I'm listening to the audio commentary by Sam and Peg and Edgar Wright. So
yeah,
well,
bad. if because it's I'm trying to get it up now. Zombo Meter it's called. So if you've got a copy of the DVD or if you've got a copy of the Blu-ray, it's worth actually going into the extras and putting on something called Zombo Meter, that they call it. And essentially all it is a subtitle track, which flashes up little factoids as you're watching the film.
Trivia, yeah.
Yeah, so it's got all literally, we could just sit and watch a film and go through and read the subtitles out because there's that much on there. But it references all of kind of like the musical tracks. It references, anything that's self-referential or goes back to kind of like the space days. It has information about certain bits of deleted scenes or certain lines here or there. It's just really informative kind of track. And again, that was just kind of like a novel little extra that I hadn't seen like done on the on DVD before. And I know when
Yeah.
this came out, it was kind of like still a youngish format, but I thought the way that they actually utilized it was really good.
Yeah, they've got something new, didn't they?
Yeah, because like I say, even though it's just subtitles, it gives you information about the music that's used in certain scenes, and it'll tell you, why certain things were used and all this kind of stuff. Just if you're interested in that, then just bang on the
Check it
subtitles.
out. Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah. Um. Go. Yeah. I did make notes, but I've just closed them down. Um. I'm sure you've got some notes, so far away.
Well, I'm just trying to think now.
Well, let's go
Yeah.
through some. Have you got any like of what are some of your favourite scenes in the film?
Well, I don't think I could pick out a favourite scene or a scene. I just got the whole film in general. I think start to finish. I think even that, like the parts as well though where they get to the car but they go around to get his mum and they're talking about, yeah, okay, right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around, get mum, head over to the kill Philip, head over to the pub kind of thing, and wait for this whole thing to blow out, and they're like, hang about, what about this thing? Oh yeah, we're going to drive there, get this, you know what I mean, and go back. I like all that. And when they turn up at his mum's house, and he's like, and Ed says, I'll wait in the car, I'll honk the horn twice, and that's I mean, if anything happens, right, okay. And he starts running into the show, and he said, don't forget to kill Philip, don't forget to kill Philip. You what? And he slips over.
Yeah. Well, I just like it when he's going through that. Every time that they repeat that scene, because there is quite a bit of repetition in this film.
Yeah.
And every time they go over the plan and they kind of like refine it or change a certain aspect of it, they get quicker with the delivery. So it's like,
yeah.
get in car, drive over, kill Phil, blah blah blah.
Come back here, have a cup of tea, kind of thing. Oh, here's not safe. All right, and I know
Yeah.
we're safe. We can be secure where they can't get us. And it's like, yeah, drive to mum, kill Philip. Sorry, Philip. On head, whack him on head. They get over to the Winchester and work for this whole thing to blow up. Pick up his girlfriend and then go to the Winchester. Yeah, even that scene as well in the garden as well when he's like chucking the records as well. You know, or the Batman soundtrack. Throw it.
Yeah, chuck it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
chuck
like it when they do the setup for. So there's this kind of like tracking shot that follows Shaun to the shops in the morning, where he's just going to get a paper and a can of Coke, and he says to Ed, "Do you want anything from the shop?" And Ed's just like,
Cornetto.
"Oh, Cornetto." And you see Shaun, trotting along and going over, and it's just the little details that are in there. The first time that they do it, obviously, this is before the apocalypse kind of happens, and then the second time they recreate that shot with the tracking shot walking down the street,
Yeah,
out
but
of the
everybody's
house.
zombies.
Yeah, and there's all the zombies are behind him, and he's completely fucking oblivious because he's hung over from the night before. But it's the little details, because like at this point in the film, he's made the decision to sort his life out.
Yeah.
The second time where he's walking down the street, so it was just a little thing that if you watch the first time he goes to the shop before he's decided to sort his life out, he gets a can of Coke out of the freezer or the fridge, and it's normal like full fat Coke, full sugar Coke kind of thing.
The Diet Coke on it. Something.
The second time that he goes, he gets a can of Diet Coke because he's like, oh well, I'm going to be a little bit more healthy today, so I'm going to get a Diet Coke. And it's just little things like that was just genius kind of like filmmaking for me. Where I just fucking it's just a really small thing, and you don't really kind of like pick up on it, but then on subsequent viewings and so that's the kind of thing that you start to enjoy about the film, because it's really rewatchable for little shit like that.
Yeah, I think you get a lot more out of the film every time you watch it. I think
you
miss it. Probably the first time round, you probably miss bits out, but the more you revisit the film and rewatch it, you think, well, you notice little things like that.
Yeah.
And as well, the first time he goes to the shop as well, and that guy that works in the shop there says, "Oh, you're not having any beers?" And he says, "Oh, it's too early for me, that." And then he gets on the bus and he's going to work. When he's in the shop there getting his drink, the guy behind him is the groom in here of a wedding.
He's the zombie that gets into the house, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And then you see the guy.
He's the one where he comes into the house. He's like, "Oh, he's got an arm off."
He's got an arm off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a fun fact: that guy is actually an amputee. He is missing his arm, but they shot him in such a way that the way he was stood behind Simon Pegg, you couldn't tell that he was an amputee and is missing an arm. But
yeah, and it's like the young boy playing football as well, isn't it? The first time he goes to the shop, he kicks the ball and it hits him, and he says, "Oh yeah, you're dead, you." Next time it happens, then later on the ball bounces towards him when he's a zombie.
Yeah.
Even the guy, the homeless person, if you got some change, suppose he change, and he gives him some pennies and he drops them all on the floor. And then later on when he's got his arm out and he thinks it's the homeless person. The fucking shop.
I think I just lost you a little bit there. But,
have you got me back?
Yeah, you're coming back through now. Yeah.
Coming back. Yeah, so I'll just repeat that bit then anyway, just in case the listeners didn't hear anyway. But the first time he goes to the shop, the homeless bloke comes up to him and he's like, "Is there any change?" He says, "Oh," and he gives him some change and he just drops it on the floor, Shaun. And then the second time, when it's a zombie apocalypse, he goes out of the house, goes to the shop, and then he's way back. The homeless bloke comes up to him again, but he's not a homeless bloke. So he's put his hand out going, "Oh," Shaun thinks he's asking for money. He goes, "Oh, I ain't got any fucking change. I don't have enough for the fucking shop." Yeah, because he have enough. They did at the shop the second time. He says like, "Oh, I owe you 25p or something."
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he's going for the papers. Yeah.
That part as well always makes it off as well when Ed's when the housemate as well. Shaun's housemate they've known for years says, "Oh, about Ed," he said he's he's not a working now, and where's he going to tidy up and stuff like, and he said, "Oh, I'll have a word with him," and he says like, "Oh, right, okay," and then anyway he's getting ready for work and he comes in and Ed's there playing on Time Splitters 2, I think it is, on the PS2.
Yeah, Time Splitters.
And he comes in and he's like, "Oh, when you take down your answer, like the message off the answer machine, can you write down other people's messages, well, not just your own and stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's not too much. It's not artwork, is it?" kind of thing. And then he turns around, he's got sellotapes on the back of his blazer. I'm a prick.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Oh, yeah, come on, Shaun. It was pretty funny that." And then he said, "Oh, just have a tidy up then for me." And he said, "Well, I'm not doing it for him." And he said, "Well, don't do it for him then. Do it for me then." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Shaun." And he's like, "It's all right. No, I'm sorry, Shaun." Well, and he goes, "Oh, fucking hell, that's vile," because he's farted.
Yeah. He does that quite a few times throughout the film, doesn't he? So again, it's just kind of like repeating the joke, and each time it's still kind of like funny and just setting it up. It's the same joke, but they set it up under different circumstances. So
yeah, and that part as well when they're out in the garden. It's a girl in the garden. So they go outside and they're like, "Hello," and she's been bitten by a zombie. She turns around. Her name's Murray, and I think a character name.
You see her at the start, don't you? Because she's working at the checkout. And,
yeah. Here's another little thing as well. She appears at the start of World's End when he's giving his little talk at the start. She's
in the support group.
Sat next to him. Yeah, in the chair at the side of him. So she's out in the garden there, and they're like, "Oh, can we help you?" kind of thing. And she turned around and she starts walking towards Shaun and saying, "Oh, I think she fancies you," kind of thing. And she drops on top of Shaun, and he's like, "Ed, get her off me!" And Ed just runs off. Then he comes back with camera. 1 minute, come back with camera and take pictures.
Yeah, Ed is a bit of a dick in this film, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's a likable dick, but he's still a dick. It's kind of like we all know someone who is that kind of friend, or we know someone who has that kind of friend who's a bit of a waster, but you can't seem to get rid of him. And, every now and then
he's a bit like a bad smell, isn't
he? Yeah.
I mean, Shaun actually tolerates him for the whole film, apart from the end when they're trying to get in the pub and he hasn't got any, like drugs and stuff, and he's like, "What you doing?" Chucks the phone out, knocks the phone out his hand. "What you doing?" And he's just had a big rant in front of his face, and "I've carried you all for these years," and stuff like that, and just had a rant in his face. That's the only time really Shaun stands up against him, I think, and tells him.
Yeah, they do kind of come to a head at that point, don't they? But it's brewing for a little bit because he starts to piss him off when when he's driving Philip's car.
Oh, the music.
No, Shaun and Ed, they start to have a little bit of tension between each other because Ed wants to drive Shaun's stepdad's car, doesn't he? Because it's a Jag. Yeah, and he, miraculously manages to prang the car, the other car that they're in.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll have to take the Jag now.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
So he's a bit of a fuck up, but like I say, he is a bit of a lovable fuck up, and there is a real kind of like friendly chemistry between like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, because obviously they've been mates for years before you get to this point where they're actually making this film. One thing, it's just come up on the screen now, so there's just one thing that I was going to quickly bring up. It's a little bit weird, but the scene where Shaun is climbing up to the apartment where like his girlfriend is with David and Diane.
Oh yeah, she won't let him in.
Yeah, and he's climbing, and I say this very loosely, through a window, because that to me always looked like he's just like on his knees outside, because it looks like they shot it in a house rather than an apartment block. If you go back and watch that scene,
I think on the commentary, I think Simon Pegg said it was apartment box. Actually, it was some apartment box somewhere in London. He actually mentioned it. He said they were lovely apartments. He said, "I'd love to live there myself." Actually,
it doesn't actually look like it the way he actually climbs up through that window, though. It just looks like he's on his knees outside the window on the ground floor.
Do you see him climbing up, or can you just hear him?
No. So they're inside, and then they see like the cricket bat come up from outside, and then
yeah.
Because like if you look behind him, you can see there's like a fence in the garden, and like if they were up a couple of floors, there's no way you'd be able to see the fence in the garden just because of the angle that the window's at. But,
yeah, true.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I was always kind of like, oh right, okay, maybe they're just yeah.
I like that scene as well though, when she's having a rant at him when he's like he goes round on it, obviously, because he's not booked the table at the restaurant, so she's gone mad and won't talk to him. So he goes round for kind of like, sweet talker into it, getting back together and stuff, and takes her some flowers, but they've got flowers for his mum.
Yeah.
But he gives them to her, and he's like, "They're for your mum, these, Shaun." He's like, "No, they're not. Yeah, they're for your mum. Yeah, they are."
Yeah.
But when
he's like, because he just has that nervous laugh, and she's like,
yeah,
smooth,
smooth, yeah. But when she's having a rant in his face, and she says, "Oh, why don't we go out somewhere?" He says to her, and he says, "Where's the Winchester?" Yeah, do you want to? No, I don't fucking want to. He's meant to on his face. She's screaming. She said something about, why do we have to go to, when we go to the pub, why does Ed always, what were you always bring your friends or something? Why did you called him, one of them, what was it? No,
a failed actress and a
twat. And he said something like, "That's not true," or something. I never called Diane a failed actress.
Yeah, that's not true. I never called Diane a failed actress. Yeah. Implying that he did call David a twat, because David is an absolute twat.
Yeah. He fancies Shaun's girlfriend, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The
other line when he's having that is there's a bit where David comes up to him and he's like, "Oh, it seems like all your 9 lives are up now, Shaun." And he just has this fucking look of absolute frustration and anger on his face, and he just kind of, "Get fucked, Four Eyes."
Why don't you go over? What do you mean?
Yeah, but that's not a nice scene actually, because he's like, "Well, if you love her so much, why don't you go out with her?" And like Diane stood right next to him, obviously being the girlfriend of David, and she just looks absolutely crushed when he says that, because she knows that David fancies, and the only reason that deep down she knows that the only reason that David's with her is to be close to be close to Liz, and it's just kind of like you feel really bad for Diane at that point.
Yeah. Did you notice as well, though, there was another callback as well to Day of the Dead, where David's death as well when he gets pulled through the window. It's the same death as the Surge in Day of the Dead when he gets ripped apart.
So. Yeah. Which, I wasn't sorry to see, because he is a bit of a twat.
Yeah, it was a bit weird how she runs after him as well when he's all his head's come off and his limbs have come off and stuff, and she's like, David, David. And goes,
I think it was just to get rid of her, character. So you could, narrow the characters down a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think she survives. I can't remember. I think in one of the extras on the DVD, I think she actually survives.
All right. I don't know why then. How she got past all them zombies.
I think there's kind of like this little animation that shows how she survives. I can't remember.
Right.
I might be conflating that, but I think it's in the extras there somewhere. I think she runs up, climbs up a tree or something and survives.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's kind of beating away the zombies with David's leg, is it, or arm or something?
Yeah.
David, I'll come for you.
So it's kind of like a very. I'll be honest. The film kind of starts to lose me a little bit when they actually get to the Winchester and it turns.
Yeah.
Full horror, because I'm not the biggest fan of zombie films. So when it actually does descend into zombie film territory, that's when I kind of almost check out on the film.
I think that was the ending scenes. Well, in the pub anyway. I think that was the kind of like the weakest part of the film. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to slow the film down a little bit too much, because up until that point, it's actually very snappy, and kind of like it has a momentum about it, like a good energy to it. And then once they get into the Winchester and start holding up, it kind of slows right down. And there's still a little bit of comedy to be had there, because you have the bit with Ed getting the gun down and shooting the gun, and he's like, I fucking knew it.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you've got the iconic scene that everyone kind of like goes on about with the battering the zombies to the Queen soundtrack. And
with the sticker cues.
Yeah, the pool cues.
Yeah, pool cues. Yeah.
Yeah. But that, like I say, that is the part of the film where it actually starts to kind of like wind down a little bit too much for me. And that's purely just through preference, because like I say, I'm not a huge zombie films fan. So when it does descend into more of the, horror aspects of the film, I kind of check out a little bit. But it's mercifully brief, before it actually resolves itself. And by that point, the characters actually all kind of come to terms with, what's going on. Obviously, Ed's, even though he's been like a selfish prick up until that point, he actually, sacrifices himself for Shaun and does the right thing, for his friend. He's
kept alive right at the end of the film, and he's living in the shed.
Yeah. And then they bump into that's one of the nice things about the film. You have the bits where like you've got Shaun and his gang, and they bump into Jessica Stevenson's character and her gang, which are all mirror images of each other.
Yeah, and a lot of that group as well have appeared in the other like Hot Fuzz and World's End as well.
Yeah, well, you got Martin Freeman, you got Reece Shearsmith, you got Matt Lucas is at the back, isn't he?
Right at the end, yeah. He's Ed, the version of Ed.
Yeah, with a really, really bad fucking wig on. He's got a terrible wig on. If you go back and watch that again, it's really bad.
Yeah, is it a big ginger wig or something?
No, but it's just like really kind of like weirdly put on his head. You can tell he's obviously got a bald head underneath it, and they've just literally slapped on the cheapest looking wig that they could find, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those. When I was looking at this, I was actually quite surprised, because this film was made on a budget of $6.1 million.
Really?
Yeah, which would have been, I don't know, let's say about 4.5, maybe £5 million. So it's not a lot at all. But it made...
Not by today's standards.
Yeah, by today's standards, definitely not. But saying here it made 30 million back, which I think is lowballing it a little bit, because it was very busy when I went to watch it. Like, really busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So what's your favourite scenes, Mike?
Like I said, the bits with the shot, the tracking shot, I really like that bit.
I like a lot of the foreshadowing as well.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of like pick all of it, even down to the names. Like you've got Ed rhymes with dead because he ends up being dead at the end and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, Shaun is reborn. I, I remember reading that somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I can't remember the others now.
Liz, what's Liz? She got anything?
I don't know. I
No.
can't remember.
Well, we got two anyway. We nailed two then.
Yeah, we got two. I'm pretty sure that there's one for David as well and Diane. Um, no, we'll have to move on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the part with his shirt as well, though, and oh, you got red on you. The ink on his shirt there. I guess mentioned a
Yeah.
few times, doesn't it? Well, his mum mentioned it, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's the easiest like Halloween costume in the world,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's just
get
a
a
white
cricket bat,
shirt, yeah,
cricket
with
bat,
a
red name tag on, Shaun.
yeah name tag and a little bit of red ink, and you're away.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Or you get the headband maybe later on the Rambo headband. Oh, that was another scene as well, though. What I was thinking, what I mentioned before about you can tell the film is age is when we got in his working in his shop, Shaun is talking to some customers selling the TVs. It's the proper CRT TVs.
Yeah, it's the old
Yeah,
school big fat
it's not
boxes, isn't it?
flat. Yeah, it's not the flat screen TVs. What we're accustomed to now, but it's the old TVs in it, which is, as I say, from 2004. This film, it just goes to show that how technology's changed in that time as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because even the TVs, what he's showing them, all the ones in the background, they're all the big back TVs. There's nothing, is there? No flat screen, so obviously
No
they've not
flat
come into
screens
it yet.
there. No, no.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd be going into Sean's shop to buy a TV from him.
yeah. There's that scene as well when he's at the forest getting the flowers for his mum. He's speaking to that woman and he sees that guy on a bit of grass outside and he's watching him there and he picks up that pigeon, then he goes to eat it.
Yeah.
Zombie, yeah. Or when you see a guy, don't you run past the shop, just sprints past the shop or something like that. His shop running fast. Obviously being chased by zombies in it because he looks over Shaun and says, what's that? Just
Uh,
some guy
or
running
just some
past the shop.
randomer running past the shop and he just
Yeah,
catches his eye.
yeah. So obviously he's seen some zombies on here or something.
Yeah.
He's on the run.
Because you have that bit when they kind of like realize it on the TV, and like they're flicking through the channels,
Mm.
but you don't hear it. But like the way they flick it because they've got the news on, then they flick onto um, a music channel, and Morris is singing "Panic on the Streets of London," and
Yeah.
yeah, it clicks over, but you get what's happening through all of that kind of thing because it all lines up. So. Uh,
That's another thing as well. It's got a really good soundtrack, this film as well. I actually own the CD as well. And I'll just give people just a few songs that are on the CD. So obviously you got Queen, haven't you?
Yeah, with
Queen's on there. You got the
Don't Stop Me Now, is it?
yeah, yeah. You got the Specials, Ghost Town, which is I think it's right at the start of the film, isn't it, when he's talking to Liz and Ed's there and Liz's friends are there in the pub.
Yeah.
What else have you got here? You've got you've got a few nods as well back to the old George A. Romero Dawn of the Dead films. You know, like when the film starts off and you got the laurel coming up and stuff.
Yeah, that's the yeah.
That was using Dawn of the Dead, and also you got is it the gong or the gog music as well? That carnival music which was using Dawn of the Dead as well.
Those music cues they come up on the subtitle track that I mentioned before, the trivia track.
Ah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the few. Yeah, I think even Keith Chegwin's in the film, isn't it, briefly? I think he's on the TV or something.
I think he has a cameo on one of the TV channels.
Yeah, because he's on the actual.
Isn't it just? I don't think you see
track.
him. You just hear his voice, though, don't you?
I'm not sure actually because
Because I think
on the commentary.
I think he's narrating over the bits with like when they're doing like it's a knockout, but with zombies at the end of it. I
Yeah,
think
you're right. I
he's
think
like
you're right. Yeah,
like the voiceover guy. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
know they have one of the characters from Spaced actually shows up as a zombie. You have Tyres. He shows up as a zombie when they're outside the pub and all the zombies stop and look at them. You see Tyres like dancing like a zombie.
Uh, can't picture him off the top of my head.
Tyres is the delivery guy from Spaced, the Irish fella, always fucking raving, skinny guy.
Was he Shaun the Dead at the
It,
end?
no, so like when they go into the Winchester and like Shaun like puts the window through and he distracts all the zombies.
Yeah, yeah.
Tyres is actually just wandering through. He's got like a yellow cyclist hat on.
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Do you know the start of the film as well when it starts off and you've got like it shows when the music's on and you've got the like the clubbers there and they're just walking
yeah,
towards it to what they're actually outside the pub later on as well. And a lot of people that you see at the start of the film appear later on as zombies.
yeah. I mean,
Start
everyone that you
opening.
see at the start of the film, like we mentioned Mary before, and then you've got the chubby black kid. Who's on the bus. He shows up with like white zombie eyes outside the pub, and you see the ravers and you see the young kids and all that kind of stuff. They all come back.
Yeah, yeah. And there's that guy in there as well that always made me laugh. Do you know when he goes to the shop the first time he's walking past, he crosses the road and there's that guy washing his car and he walks past him and there's a guy there, was he like a road sweeper or something like that, an oldish chap. He just looks at Shaun as Shaun walks past and Shaun like, walks past him and then just gives him a glance back as if saying, what are you fucking looking at?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That old fella.
That old chap, yeah, giving him one hell of a still. I mean, he looks like a zombie anyway.
It's got nothing to do with the actual film itself, but there's something that always bugged me about it. It's like when he's walking out, like Pete's car's that red Renault Megane
Yeah.
um, outside the house, and like the first or the second time, like he walks past it, I can't remember which way around it is, but there's like the Renault logo is on the bonnet, and then the next time he walks past it, it's not there. It's just like missing completely, and I was like, why is that fucking not there? Has it been airbrushed out or what? And it just makes no sense whatsoever. Like why it's there on one shot and
Not
not
sure.
the other.
Well, on
Yeah.
the commentary, they mentioned this on the commentary on the table where Eddie sat in Shaun's house. There's a black baby in there with holding with a ball or something on his legs. Have you seen that one? It was it was yeah, it was on it's just on the table there where they're playing his video games. Yeah, so it's like a black baby with a ball on his leg or something. Anyway, it's definitely a black baby. But he said
Right.
that in the American release, the airbrushed it out or CGI'd it out or something.
Oh really? All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's another good scene as well. Though, is the parties where obviously he split up with Liz, Shaun, so he's been on the pace and he was going back to his house and they're playing the uh, is it the electro music?
It's not hip hop. It's
It's
electro.
electro, you prick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're playing that, and anyway, Pete comes downstairs and he's like, "It's 4 o'clock in the fucking morning." And he's like, "It's Saturday." No, it's not. It's fucking Sunday. I've got to go to work tomorrow and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And he has a bit of a rant on it and goes on to Ed and Shaun, and he starts walking out and he goes, "And the front door is open again."
Yeah.
Just always,
Well,
yeah,
that's why the zombie manages just to wander in the next
yeah,
day because like
the
they leave the
groom.
door open. Yeah.
Well, that's where
But
they're
that
watching TV, don't they? And it says, make sure everywhere you go is secure and all the doors are locked. And it like dawns on them, and they're like, oh my fucking God, there's a zombie.
yeah.
He's got
But
an
it's
arm
just that
off.
the way he delivers that line as well. It's just like so much venom in his voice as well. It's like you want to live like an animal, go and live in the shed, you thick fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
But
lo
there's
and
that,
behold, by the end of the film, Ed is actually living in the shed,
yeah, well, that's similar
still
to,
playing time splitters.
yeah, yeah. Similar with Pete as well, though, when he's like rants in front of Ed and Shaun and he fucks off. And then Ed says, next time I see him, he's dead, the prick or something. And he is, in it?
Yeah,
Because he's obviously next time you see him, he's turned into a zombie.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. He got
Yeah.
bitten on the hand, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's in the shower and where they think he's gone out because he's calling upstairs saying, Pete, Pete. And they think, oh, he must have gone out to work. And he's like, well, he got his car here. I know, maybe he walks or something like that. So anyway, Shaun's in the bathroom and they're getting ready that go out and he moves the mirror, like at the start of the film, he moves the mirror and Pete stood there talking to him. When's he going home? Meaning Ed. And this one later on, he moves the mirror and Pete's a zombie.
Yeah, he's in the behind the shower curtain, isn't he?
Yeah. So many good moments in this film.
Yeah. Oh,
I think this out of all the episodes we've done, I think we've probably done the most quotes from a film on this episode.
Well, it is a very quotable film.
Yeah.
I think, like I was saying to you off mic, I've watched this film so much that I could probably, easily sit down and just kind of like, rhyme off all of the lines as I'm watching it, like turn the sound off, and I'd still know the lines,
Yeah. So, any more scenes we've missed out, Mike? Do you think any more extra bits you want to
add in? Well, the only other kind of like scene that I really kind of liked is when they're all kind of like falling to pieces in the pub. And you've got David. They found out that Shaun's mum's been bitten on the wrist, and she's going to turn into a zombie. And like he's kind of like being an absolute arsehole. And Liz actually finally snaps at David and calls him a twat. Because David's saying, "We need to kill your mum."
Yeah, she's going to be a zombie.
Yeah. So he's like egging him on. Yeah. So he's egging him on to shoot his mum, and obviously Shaun's having a hard time with it because it's his mum and all this kind of stuff. And Liz turns around and she's, she finally snaps at David and she calls him a twat, even if he is being a twat.
Yeah. I mean, there's that scene as well, though, when in the car as well, and in the Jag and Ed's driving dead fast, and then Shaun has a bit of one-to-one, doesn't he, with Bill Nighy, his stepdad. He has a bit of
because they've had a bit of a weird relationship up until this. Like, Shaun is trying to get his mum out of the house because he realises that he's been bitten. Yeah, so he turns around to his mum and he's like, "Did you know that when I was young, Philip used to touch me?"
Yeah, he molested
me. And she just looks him and he's like, "That's not true. That's a lie. Just made that up."
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell. Watching this film now, there's a lot of stuff in there that they probably would have a hard time getting away with now, because you've got that bit there where like Shaun is essentially saying his stepfather molested him, falsely accusing him of molestation. And then you've got the bit where Ed rolls up in Philip's car and he uses the N-word, although he uses it with an A on the end as opposed to a hard R on the end.
Oh, so,
yeah. And there was something else as well. I think there was something weight related in there as well. I can't remember. But yeah, it's just kind of like, ooh.
Well, just sticking with that car scene as well, though, when he had a bit of a one-to-one, and then didn't they stop the car or something? He's like, "Mum, what is it? It's Philip. He's gone. Where's he gone? No, he's gone turned into a zombie." And he's like, "Get out of the fucking car, quick!" The child locks are on.
It's a strange little scene, that, because you've got a little bit of emotion in there, and then it goes to, throws another joke in there pretty quickly as well. So but there was a few little things when I was just watching it in the background there. I was like, even though this is like hailed as a classic now, there's a few things in there that if they were in a film nowadays, people would probably take exception to. So it just goes to show how tastes and trends have changed a little bit. Yeah. People are a little bit too thin-skinned nowadays, but anyway. Yeah.
Right, mate. I think I'm pretty much done. About for now, gotta say.
Yeah. We've kind of fizzled out on this one, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, surprising, because I think it's just one of those that, so much has been like talked. This is one of those films because it did become so popular so quickly that people have talked about it so much that it's difficult to actually talk about the film without treading over stuff that people already know or are already aware of, especially from the trivia side of things, because it's so self-referential. It's hard to actually come up with anything, different that
Yeah,
people don't
yeah.
already know about the film because it's all there on the screen kind of thing. So it's one of those, just instead of fucking
If you've
listening
not
to
seen it,
us chat about it, just
yeah,
go and fucking watch
watch
it
it. If you've
and
not
see
seen it
how.
already, what have you done? Where have you
Yeah,
been for the last
well,
like
that
15 years?
said, Mr. Manning is not a fan of Simon Pegg, so I don't think he'll be revisiting this anytime soon.
Yeah. But
So,
it's one on film. We're covering the Cornetto trilogy. We're going to obviously bring up Shaun the Dead when we cover Hot Fuzz and World's End. I think, you know what I mean? There's going to be a few little like mentions, I think, between the whole three films.
yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
all refer to each other, don't they? Because they're all kind of they all have similar structures and they all
Yeah.
share similar kind of jokes. I mean, you got the scene in all of them where like it was set up in this where Simon Pegg turns to the group when they're trying to escape through the back gardens away from the zombies. Like, what's the matter? You've never taken a shortcut before, and he jumps over the fence and
Or the fence, yeah.
yeah, and that comes back obviously in Hot Fuzz, and then it's called back again in like World's End,
World's
isn't
End.
it? So, yeah. Um, and that's part of the fun in watching the Cornetto trilogy, seeing like different takes on old gags, because they kind of like they know that they're repeating the joke, and that's part of the joke itself. It's like, yeah, we know we're repeating it, but we're putting a slightly different spin on it this time.
Yeah, yeah. And it works.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I suppose
Yeah.
that's it. We might as well draw this episode to a close.
That's the first film in the Cornetto trilogy covered, guys.
That is the strawberry cornetto out of the way.
Yeah.
What's your favourite cornetto? Out of interest.
Um.
Are you a strawberry guy, or are you a classico guy, or are you a mint guy?
Uh. It's a tough one, really, because I like them all. Oh, I don't think I can choose, to be honest with you. It depends what mood I'm in. I think. Yeah, it depends what mood I'm in. But to be honest with you, I'll probably bring it up on there when we do the World's End episode. But I watched World's End at the cinema, and I didn't really enjoy it the first time around. I watched it, which is oddly enough because I like the other two films, but for some reason, I didn't really enjoy it the first time. I don't understand why. I think it was because I think I was invested in the fact is it was a group of friends going on a binge, on a piss up, go get together and kind of thing. And then it just took a total twist, and it was like these robots were into it. I was like, what the fuck? And I did not see that coming. You know what I mean? I knew there'd be a twist in it, but I did not see that coming. I thought, what the fuck?
Well, that
And,
that is a twist in itself because I was actually asking you about the ice cream as opposed to the film. But
yeah, all right, all right.
Never mind.
Strawberry. I'll go for strawberry then, anyway.
Oh, you're a strawberry guy. Okay.
Strawberry
Right.
guy. Yeah. Strawberry mint, and then chocolate.
Well, I'll ask you again after we've done World's End. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any shout outs you want to give? Or
Just want to shout out to everybody who's actually been downloading the podcast. We've had a lot of good downloads recently. Just keep it up. Just keep downloading. Spread the love if you can. You know what I mean? Anybody who's into podcasts, just listen to podcasts, just say, oh, go and check out the Untitled Film Podcast if you've not done so already, and give us a download, give us a listen, and follow us on Instagram, we're on Facebook as well. Just do that. Yeah.
yeah. I'll just second that sentiment. We at the end of the last episode, I obviously asked you guys just to tell one person about the podcast, and that seems to have worked if the download numbers are anything to go by. So thank you very much for spreading the love. And we can just, ask you to do that again, maybe, or some of you new people who've come and started listening to the podcast, just maybe tell one person about it and see if we can, grow our little show a little bit more. It is greatly appreciated. And apparently leaving us nice reviews on iTunes and all that kind of jazz is helpful as well. So if you're feeling, generous, take the time out and just leave us a nice little review on iTunes and help us out a little bit. But I appreciate, everyone who's listened thus far. And I know Andy Godoy is back with the Get to the Chopper podcast because he's just recorded it tonight with Dean from Junk Cancel. So shout out to those guys because obviously we've been recording now, so we've not been able to listen to that because it goes out live on a Sunday at 9 o'clock. But I'll probably go and listen to it now. Yeah, next up.
Yep. Is your pick, isn't it? So are you sticking with your pick?
Well, you kind of forcing my hand with this one because you.
Yeah, I want to watch it. That's why.
So it's even though it's my pick, it's really Lee's pick, but I'll let him have my pick this time round. We're gonna go with we covered the first one a couple of weeks back, so we're gonna try and get ourselves up to date so Lee can go and watch chapter 3 before it leaves the cinema. It's gonna be John Wick chapter 2. So that will be the next episode that we drop, and also I am starting to go through the MCU universe from scratch, doing audio commentaries on those. The Iron Man commentary is already out there. Next up will be the Incredible Hulk, which I'm not particularly looking forward to, but for the sake
are you doing them in order of release, or is it an order of like?
I am. Yeah, I'm doing it properly. Yeah,
do it properly. Yeah.
Do it properly. Doesn't mean that we're not going to cover it on the podcast because we can always,
go back and cover it. Yeah.
Yeah, we can always go back because I do want to cover the Iron Man films and the Captain America films with you as well. So
yeah, well, it makes sense to do the lots, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Even if we cover the Hulk as well. And you said you're not looking forward to it, but if we're going to do all the MCU films eventually over time, we might as well do that, aren't we?
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to revisiting it because as the Marvel films go, that is definitely a one that hasn't kind of like stood the test of time. But we'll see. We shall see.
We've also got a special guest lined up, haven't we, as well?
We do. So you have reached out to Damien, and we're going to be doing Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, with Damien. And
we just need to pin him down on like a time and a day, really. We're going to record.
We'll figure that out.
Well. Yeah. So
I think Dean wants to come back on and cover the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Which, we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have Dean back on anyway.
It would be, but Jar Jar Binks is kind of putting me off on that one. But the things we do for the show, the things we subject ourselves for entertainment, and I think I'm going to try and get Chris back on so we can crack on with the Two Towers and do the next chapter of the Lord of the Rings. So yeah, things are cracking. So, but yeah, no, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. It'll be John Wick Chapter 2, so we'll be welcoming back Mr. Wick.
So it's John Wick, and then depending of what goes on, it might be either Brain Dead or Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz, yeah.
So,
Right, well, that's it. Sorry that one fizzled out a little bit, but, they can't all be belters. Just go and watch the film. And
it's a 15-year-old film. If you've not watched it now, you need to go and check it out.
Most definitely. And if you can, do it with a Cornetto just so you extra.
Yeah. Okay. Strawberry one, is it?
Yeah, this one has to be a strawberry, and then Hot Fuzz is the Classico, isn't it? And then World's End is the minty one. So.
That's it. Yeah.
I was always partial to a mint Cornetto.
Yeah, I remember when I watched World's End as well at the cinema. I remember thinking to myself, "I've not seen the Cornetto. It's not appeared." And then 30 seconds later, it appeared at the fence. And I thought, "Oh, there it is. They've got it in somehow."
Yeah,
It just dawned on me. I've not seen it yet, and then he stuck it on me.
Stuck it right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't have timed it any better, really. Well, yeah. So go and check it out, guys. Anyway.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. That's the end. So thanks very much, guys, and until next time, we'll catch you later.
Bye.